Peace and love, peace and love, peace and love. I am your host, Queen B. This is Numbers Matter Podcast Unit 16, where this is the Astrology Takeover. So, this is going to be Astrology Matters tonight. I have a great guest on tonight, one of my fellow nine life paths. So, without further ado, I'm going to bring him onto the stage. But before I introduce him to you, I have a special surprise for all of us. So, bear with me while I get our guest on the stage. First of all, I want to welcome Big E Astrology to BTV and Numeralytics. But before I get started, let me go ahead and bust this funky rhyme down in honor of my guest, the Knowledge is Love podcast, hip hop MC, Life Path 9 host. So, one, two, three, here we go. Peace, Universal Supreme. Hope you're ready to stream. Numbers Matter Live. We on a rise like cream. Big E on the scene with Astrology Matters. Queen B on deck with personal energy factors. One thing's for sure, we bringing knowledge to your door. Love and happiness demands peace over war. I want to thank you all for tuning in with Queen B. Kings of the Big E in the Taylor family. Prepare for the convergence of the nine destiny. Ooh, ooh!
Oh my
Hello,
God, I didn't
Big
know you were
E.
doing that.
Welcome, Big E to Numbers Matter. Welcome, King.
Oh,
Welcome. Kings up.
Queen. That was so you made my day. Thank you so much. It is an honor and pleasure to be here with you, your audience, and yeah, I'm just grateful and I'm excited to be on your show.
Thank you, Big E. I'm so excited to have you here. And I really want to thank you for coming on. I was on your podcast, Knowledge is Love, earlier this year. So we're going to call that the first quarter. And this is the encore. You're coming back on Numbers Matter to return the favor and come talk to us about why astrology matters. You know, we're always talking about why numbers matter around here, but we have you, an excellent resident intuitive astrologer. So
Yeah.
I want to talk to you a little bit about that. So without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead, Big E, and jump into everything because we have a lot to cover, and we even have some questions that some of the audience has submitted for you
I love it.
for astrology. So we're going to be getting to that. We're going to be finding out more about you and more about what you do at Big E Astrology. So Big E, why don't you right now for us? Why don't you explain for everyone that doesn't know? Explain what astrology is, and then explain how that science differs from different divinations or different spiritual sciences.
Well, that's a great question. I mean, astrology to me, it's the map of your life and the remembrance of your soul, and what I want people to really, as I say, understand about these planets, right? They're light-bodied frequencies and they emit energy down here to planet Earth, which is why, right, we have the moon, lunatics, full moon, right? I have a friend as the ER doctor, and whenever it's a full moon, he's like, oh man, we were swamped. The
Mm-hmm.
moon, right, helps the plants grow at night, right? You connected to the oceans of the tide, the farmer's almanac, right? And so that's why the moon is exalted in Taurus the bull, the first earth sign,
Mm-hmm.
connected to earth and nature, and at home in Cancer the crab, where it is currently right now. And we're just coming off that beautiful Cancer new moon energy yesterday morning at 4 degrees. So astrology, it's older than all the religions. In ancient times and ancient Kemet and Babylonia and everything, before you could become an astronomer, a priest, a doctor, you had to be an astrologer first. Okay. Astrology is
Mm-hmm.
very connected to medical astrology, right? And astrology is in the Bible, the Torah, and the Quran. Okay. So to me, it's a beautiful ancient wisdom and knowledge. And this, just like numerology, soul contracts, even human design, which is newer, are all
Mm-hmm.
coming back up in such a big way as we are making this transition from ending the Piscean age to now at the very beginning, foundational stages of the age of Aquarius.
Yes. Yes. Excellent. Excellent. I'm glad you mentioned about that energy because that was actually one of the questions that we had from one of the Universal Supreme. They wanted to know about the energy of Jupiter in Cancer. So they weren't specific. They just said, ask him about the energy of Jupiter in Cancer. So however you interpret that, King, why don't you go ahead and answer that for the Universal Supreme?
Well, it's a great question. And right now, Jupiter is in Cancer until June 30th,
Mm,
26. Jupiter's at home in Sagittarius, the archer, and it's also at home in Pisces, the fish, but it's
mhm,
exalted in its exaltation in Cancer, the crab. And it is very much a divine wisdom and knowledge. The divine feminine will be waking up in an authentic, deeper way this year than it has in the last few years. And our emotional intelligence will increase. When Jupiter's in Cancer, as the young kids like to say, Queen Bee, it's not all about the bag. What it's
mhm,
about is feeling more safe and secure in your bodies, in your homes, right? In the mothering, nurturing, caring energy. So, this is a fantastic time, not just for Cancer, sun signs, moon signs, or rising signs, but it's going to be extremely beneficial for the Scorpio Pisces people, for even the Taurus, Virgo, Capricorns. And because
mhm,
we're so lovely, it will even wind up helping, the squares, which is Aries and Libra signs as well, and opposition to Capricorn. So Jupiter is one of those planets. It's called the Great Benefic, and it's a
mhm,
beneficial planet. Jupiter represents your wisdom, your beliefs, your philosophies, the guru, the shaman, higher learning, teacher, preacher, professor. But it's also the husband in a wife's chart, and it also gets to abundance, fortune, and luck, biology, and finance. So
mhm.
Jupiter really is a wonderful energy. And you'll find this year there's going to be an increase in homeschooling as well.
Wow. That's interesting, and, that makes sense to me, especially entering the age of Aquarius, where the way that we communicate's gonna change, the technology that we use to communicate is gonna change, so that's there's gonna be revolution in the way that we're doing things in our systems, that, things breaking down, so, I'm here for, I'm ready for, to me, this system needs a little bit of a breakdown so it can, rebuild itself up, within the
Yes,
proper
ma'am.
vibrations. That's what I think.
Well, you're so right. And with Pluto being in Aquarius until 2044, right?
Mhm,
This is what is happening. Pluto is a planet that really reveals our shadow, right? It's about power, control, sex, abuse, manipulation, the secret societies, the underworld, transformation, and transmutation. What people may not know about Pluto, it's also
mhm.
toxicity and virus. So when Pluto's in Aquarius, it's going to show
Mm.
and bring up the darkness that we've had in medicine, science, technology, AI, right? Also around
Oh, wow.
organizations like nonprofits, philanthropic work, FEMA, things like that, the dark web. So Pluto in Aquarius is no joke. And being in the age of Aquarius, the revelation, right? Aquarius is a fixed air sign. The water bearer, people get confused because it's the water bearer, but
They
it's,
do. A lot of people think there it's a water sign, and I was talking to not to cut you, but I was talking
yeah,
to an Aquarius person, and, I was doing my thing on her. She's like, "I'm a water sign." I'm like, "No, you're an air sign." I'm
yeah,
like, "Your symbol is a water bearer, but you're an air sign." I had
that's
to teach to
right.
her, and she was a grown woman. Go
That's
ahead.
right. A lot of people don't know, and it can be
Yeah,
confusing, right?
it can
So,
be.
what it is, it's pouring out the waters of revelation of knowledge and truth, right? And
Mm, I like
so,
that.
this is letting you know that the frequency of deception and lies, that and confusion that came in the Piscean age, that can no longer hold the frequency and vibration on Gaia, Mother Earth, and in this time and age and realm. So, you're
Right.
having all this truth being revealed and coming up and coming out. The thing
Yes.
is that we have to tap into as a collective is the freedom and liberation, being our inner rebel, being the black sheep, pushing the envelope, being the vanguard, and being futuristic. That's what's going to help us at this time. And as I like to say, the four highest frequencies. Number one, being your true authentic self. Number two, living and vibrating from your heart chakra. Number three,
Mhm,
staying always in gratitude, Queen Bee. And number
mhm.
four, hey, we got to stay in joy. We have to be in joy. So, if we can do that as a collective in these troubling times, when you have love, you can't stay in hate or fear.
Right. And when you have love, you're right, those things can't exist there. And like all of those words you said, that is exactly where we need to be and where we need to be vibrating from. Because like you said, that Piscean structure is falling. And that also, had to do with a lot of delusions and illusions, them pulling the wool over our eyes with a lot of things. And like you said, this Aquarian age, it demands the truth. It
Yeah.
demands honesty. So it's really knocking those things down. So I just couldn't have said that better myself. And like I said, I am so here for it. I am so ready for this.
You was born ready. You've been ready for this. I know, right? I feel like,
Listen,
what's so funny. I love that you said that because I feel like without knowing it, my whole life I've been waiting for this time. Really,
mhm,
I have. You know,
yes.
it's
You have
powerful.
been, and it's like everything you've been doing is like preparing us for these new moments that we're about to encounter and embark on, you know,
Yep.
over these next at least 20 some odd years, while we're entering the this Aquarian age and all that. So
Yep.
really a lot of stuff, a lot of moving parts going on with that. So thank you so much for answering that. So now I want to ask you, Big E. First, let me ask you about your near death experience, because I know you had a near death experience. So I want to ask you to share a little bit about your near death experience, but then share how that has helped shape your unique approach to your readings.
Sure. So step back to 2013. Moved to Arizona. I'm a native New Yorker, and moved to Arizona in 2011. And in 2013, as my wife was pregnant with my youngest children, my twin boys, my Leos, that are down with you, right?
That's
I
right.
got this fungus that's in the Western Hemisphere of the United States called valley fever. And it
Hmm.
usually shows up in your lungs. But Queen Bee, Big E don't do things the easy way sometimes, even though now I do. But it went to my head and my neck as if I was producing, like I had the flu, like I was producing mucus every day. It
Hmm.
went through my body, weakened my immune system. And then, COVID came. I got the original and they said I wasn't here in 2020. Felt yucky, couple of weeks, all good. But in 2021, the Delta came through my home. So I went to the
Mm.
hospital on August 29th, and you talk about that COVID fog, right? Well, we literally had it because my mom went in on the 27th. She got down to 88%. When the oxygen gets down that low, you guys should go to
Mhm.
the ER. Well, wifey was at 94, 93. I'm checking mine. It was like 87, 75, 68. But like we just
Yeah.
thought the meter was broken, right? It
Yeah,
didn't
it's getting
know that.
low.
Like, hello, you're not doing well. So
Right.
as on the 29th of August 2021, we called the ER, and they came. It was like this big thing, and they said, Mr. Taylor, your oxygen's at 56%. How are you talking and standing? And
Right.
I'm a sketch comic, right? And I'm me, I'm just like, all I could think about was Ben Stiller. I'm like, oh, strong like bull. I was like, I don't know, I'm just being me, right? I'm just doing
Right.
me. But as they were closing the door to take me to the ER, wifey was upset. My three sons, I have four sons, but my three sons at home were crying. And I was like, please don't cry. Daddy's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And no lie, Queen, I said on August 29th, I'll see you in October. And it was like the movie scene. My wife was like, no. And they closed the doors. I go to hospital. Don't want to get into all the weeds of that. It's a long story. Wasn't treated so well. But
Mhm.
even though I told them I had the valley fever, they gave me steroids and remdesivir, and then it weakened my immune system more, and then it awakened the valley fever, which joined the COVID
The
Delta.
COVID.
And then each
Gosh.
day I was there, I got sicker and sicker. And then my wife on September 6th got a terrible phone call at 11 o'clock at night, September 6th, just a few days before my birthday. Yes, y'all, I'm a Virgo. She got the call in a panic. Mrs. Taylor, your husband's organs are failing. Death is imminent. We'll call you back in an hour. Click. That's the call she got. And now this wasn't the rush of the pandemic. The hospital was almost empty. But
Right.
that's what happened. I flatlined. They called her the ventilator. So I was in coma for 40 days, in the hospital for 85 days. It
Mhm.
wasn't like that moment, where people are like, oh, I saw my mom and ancestors and my grandparents and Jesus and like, love and light. No,
Mhm.
what I went through, Queen, was spiritual warfare, battling Satan,
Mhm.
and really the dark night of the soul. It was something, and I wouldn't wish it on anybody. But I realize now with deeper wisdom and understanding because I
Mhm.
didn't know much about NDEs until I had one, right?
Mhm. Right.
So
Yeah,
I
that's kinda something you have to experience to actually, like, know about it. You can't, I
well,
mean,
you
you
know,
can read about
people
it, but you don't really
yeah, yeah,
know the
yeah, no, you
feeling.
don't really know, but
Yeah.
people
Right.
do like study it and
Yes.
after all that I've gone through now, I realize it's like a huge thing and there's all these podcasts. So what happened was um I went through, real darkness and spiritual warfare. And what I realized though, this was really an initiation and this was
Mm.
a up leveling. And my theme and my story is really about faith, gratitude, and love. And what's really fascinating, and I'll share with the audience, I was born with an eye disease called retinitis pigmentosa. So at 9 years
Mm.
old, they told Big E, like, you'll be blind by the age of 21. And I was
Mhm.
like, what? Can you imagine, telling that to a kid? But
Right.
hey, I'm 54, about to be 55 in September, and I can not only see, but I can say, you look beautiful tonight, Queen. Okay.
Oh,
So,
thank you,
so
thank
I
you.
thank God every day, but I tell you that because it's not supposed to happen. But not
Right.
only did my hearing improve after I
Mhm.
awakened, which was already good because I was like a superhero, right? I tell people
Mhm.
I can hear an ant pee and I can smell like anything, right? Because when you have
Mhm.
one, of your senses weakened, the others are improved.
They
Well,
get
my
strengthened,
hearing
yeah.
improved to a point that like I literally have to unplug the internet because I can hear like the binary code from the Wi-Fi. I can hear
Wow.
the
Mm.
"Ooh," but I can hear the 001110. But not only that, my vision improved, Queen, and that's not supposed to
Mhm.
happen. A few
Right.
months after I came home, I went to the eye doctor, and my right eye, which is my weaker eye, it actually improved a little bit. And the doctor was like, "What?" And I was like, "What?" You know what I mean? So for me, though, the deepest thing that I found along with those things, because those were miracles in itself, my
Mhm.
intuitive gifts increased tenfold. So, for an example,
Mhm.
like now when I'm doing a birth chart reading, I already was intuitive, right? I have Uranus and Libra for any of the astrology nerds watching the show. I'm on a Scorpio rising, a Virgo sun, and a Capricorn moon. So my 12th house is Libra, and I have Uranus there, which is the planet of spiritual awakenings and all this stuff, right? So I dreamt about meeting my wife and I met her. I dreamt about 9/11 2 years before it happened. And when I would do birth chart readings, I would at night I would visually like see the chart, my ceiling and visualize
Yeah.
people's charts. But now I'll get like hits and downloads of describing like your sun and moon in the eighth house. And then I'll get a flash either prior or while I'm doing the reading, I'll get like a flash visually showing me you in action describing that placement beyond my astrological knowledge. So it's like I get these intuitive downloads that help me give you even deeper birth chart readings. So I just love it because to me it's all about bringing the truth to you in the best way possible, and now I can do it even on a higher spiritual level.
Yes. Yes, I mean, that is an amazing story, and, obviously, we are all happy and glad that you woke up out of that coma.
Woo.
Big E, this is why you gotta talk to some numerology people too, because, around that time, you were in your critical cycle, so, we coulda let be careful with your health.
2021, yeah. Well,
Yeah,
listen,
yeah, well,
I
being
got
the
to tell you,
52.
I was super careful. You know what I mean? And it was August, and I don't even
Yes.
know, but yeah, yeah, you could
So
break
it's
that
every
down, right? The
August, it's
29th day
52
of
days.
August. I don't know, what does that mean?
It's 52 days before your birthday.
Mm,
So we have a birthday to birthday cycle, not to get too deep into it, but 52 days before your birthday is your critical cycle. And that's a cycle where it is time to take care, wind down, no long trips, no lot of extenuating activity. This is time to really confer with the elders, confer with the elder people in your community or your family, and
right.
just really like tie up your loose ends before your birthday comes, like get all that kind of stuff settled down.
Yeah.
And really clean out your closet too, as far as people, places, and things, and things that no longer serve you, that you don't want to carry into your next 52-day birthday to birthday cycle when your reputation starts on your next birthday. So
Wow.
So always those 52 days before your birthday, those are always, it's a critical time for all of us. That's not just Big E, guys. That's all of us. So that's always a time for us to take care and be careful. But I am so happy that you're here. I'm happy that,
Thank
you
you.
know, I'm grateful because we all have to go through things and life isn't all roses and candy all the time. There's ups and there's downs, in the rhythm of life. And as long as we weather those storms, we can get through those down times. And then, like you said, it strengthens you. What doesn't kill you make you stronger. So
Woo.
we're already superheroes, and now you just got a boost in your superhero powers.
Can I tell you, first of all, thank you for those kind words and the
Mhm.
knowledge of that wisdom about the numbers and the birthday. But yeah, I surf through storms. I ride them and I just go through it and I always get strong on the other side. And
Yes.
now I feel like my season of storms is behind me. And
Hmm.
now I'm just looking to stay in the joy, love, and abundance and prosperity. So I'm ready. I'm here for all the goodness that is
Yes.
coming my way and that I,
Yes.
attract and manifest. So and really doing the work because I feel like this is God's work. I can tell you client after client. I mean, when I'm done with the reading, people's heads are like, phew. And
I can
I really
imagine.
help my clients to heal their inner child, right? Going through the Chiron wound to really deepen their, align with their soul's path and journey with Pluto and the North Node, right? To reprogram their subconscious mind with the 12th house and Neptune, and really to increase their self love, And so for me, I'm very, as I like to say, maniacal intentional with the work that I do for my clients. I tell them, I don't hate on therapists or psychologists or counselors, but you can go to them and you've got to be willing to be open and honest and share. And then they got to ask you the right questions. That could go on for 3, 4, 5, 6 months. You come
Right.
to me for 90 minutes in a live chart reading over Zoom. I see everything. You're butt naked.
Mhm.
And I am going to not only give you the truth of past, present, and future. I'm really not going to just do that, but I'm going to answer the questions you have and get you aligned on your path. Because sometimes it's just minor adjustments. And then
Right.
sometimes people need like a real verbal, like, you know, uplifting,
Overhaul.
and
Yeah.
sometimes a little like tough love too. And
Mhm.
and that's why they come to me. Listen, if you come to a Virgo with a Cap Moon and a Scorpio rising, you're gonna get the truth.
You're
But
gonna get the truth, and wait, and two, you're a number one person, brutally honest. So they're
yes,
looking for the
ma'am.
truth.
With
They're gonna
love,
get the
though,
truth with
it's
that
always
Virgo,
with
not number
love.
one.
It's always with love because as the Virgo,
Yes,
I tell people everyone needs a Virgo in their life, Queen, because Virgos
they
are
do.
the best personal assistants that anyone could ever have, right?
Yes.
If you ask a Virgo a question, we analyze and assess without emotion. So I'm just going to tell you the truth to make you better. Virgos are about improving things, right? And so the Virgo, the virgin, is of service, right? The wheat and the medicine. So I'm always here to serve the collective, and I do it
Mhm.
with love and gratitude.
And you are here to serve the collective, and you are doing that with love and gratitude. And to me, Big E, you're inspiration to me. We're both fellow life path nines, so that is what both of us are here to do. Like we talked before, this is the convergence of the life path nines. And you really are an inspiration. You're motivational. And I just love all the work you do. I love your beautiful family,
Thank
and how close knit you guys are, and you really take care of each other. And you take care of not just each other, you take care of your extended family too. Your Knowledge is Love tribe, that we'll talk about the
yes,
community. We'll get to that a little bit.
yes.
And so just kudos to you, and we want to really thank you and edify you. And you've really been through a lot, and we appreciate all of the knowledge that you drop, all of the coffee talks and everything that you do, your eisms and everything else. So we're going to get into all of that. You don't think this, like, don't think you're going to get nothing past this, Leo.
You know about the Eisms. I love
I
it.
know
Oh
about the
my God.
eisms. I know it all, Big E.
That's, that's good.
All right,
And
so
I love how thorough you are. And to me, it's just, I stay in such gratitude for people like you and Jazz and Paris and Nick that I all connected through, and Kimberly Williams, all
yes,
through Baba Lloyd, right? Lloyd
all through
Strayhorn.
Lord.
He
Speaking of
is,
him, look,
yes,
he's
that's
in
my
the
brother,
audience.
man.
So yeah, peace and love to numbers and you. Uh, Master Teacher Lloyd Strayhorn, world-renowned astronumerologist. Just really a huge force in all of our lives.
Yeah. But
I
he's a
know he's
world-renowned human being too. You
yeah,
know what I mean? And
yeah,
that's
world-renowned human being. Yeah,
yes,
he
yes.
is.
But that's what I love about Lloyd so much, and that's how
Yeah,
we connect and get along so well.
yeah. Yeah, he's very humble, and very supportive, of everyone. So I really do appreciate him and appreciate that. And see why we're on the path. Let's real quick just say hi to the audience because some of your
Yeah.
tribe is here, and some of the universal supremacy. So the convergence is happening in the audience.
I love the live
So we
questions. How y'all doing out there?
yeah, peace, guys. So we have Chantel Jones. She said, "Woot woot." I know that's one of your
Yes.
tribe. Stephen, the Jupiterian. Numbers
What's
do
up,
matter. Yes,
Queen
they do,
Weezy?
Stephen. Definitely numbers matter. And he said grammar matters too. It does matter. I don't know. Did
Okay.
I spell something wrong? I might have.
That's all right.
And he's saying hi to Chantel and Queen. She's saying Queen B has bars. Oh, thank you, Queen. Queen's up to you.
Yes, she
I
does.
try. I try to get down with my 9 life path.
You know how nines do.
You know how we do. We're artistic, baby. We gotta do us. And we have a very good opinion of ourselves. So doesn't matter what anybody thinks. Um, we got Mr. Ray. He said hello.
What's up, Mr. Ray?
Quintella is in
Hey,
the building.
Quintella.
Quintella Understanding. She said,
Yeah.
good evening, Queen B and Eric. Queen B's family and peace, unconditional love, light, and beautiful spirits. Yes, ma'am. We got Don Figueroa. Peace and love, kings up to you.
Danny in the house. Yep.
We got Teresa Miller.
Hey, Teresa.
Peace, Queen. How are you?
The whole tribe is here. I love it. I love
The
it.
whole tribe is here. And of course, we have your beautiful wife, Queen Alana Taylor, in the building.
Oh, yeah.
Sabali Pure. I
She
love it.
she holds me down. She's the
Yes,
best.
she does. Yes,
She
she
is
does. I
truly.
love that queen. All right. A creative space, peace and love to you, Queen. Thank you so much for tuning in. And let's see who else we have out here. We got GL. Peace and love to you.
Hey,
A
gal.
9 life path too. So you know what?
Up.
Listen, when the nines converge, they converge. And let me tell you how funny and like energy just doesn't lie.
Right.
Every time that I get with Eric, the last time I got with Eric, it's so funny. I was in the middle of doing a reading. I had a client, and now I had readings in between, but it's just so funny. As soon as this was about to happen, I got another client, and guess what? They're a life path 9.
There you go.
There you go. So it
I
really
love
just is
that.
it's a testament to let you know that energy doesn't lie, numbers don't lie, and astrology doesn't lie, and that's why all of these things matter.
And they're
Um,
so beneficial. Do you
yes,
know once you get like really integrate this wisdom and knowledge into your daily life, it makes life easier and it
it
makes you
does.
more aware. And then you don't get duped with deception and confusion. And like for me, I see things coming like I was going to say, 2, 3 steps ahead. I'm like 5, 10, 15, 20 years ahead.
Yes. Yes, Big E. And then doing this work, you do realize that you are ahead of your time. And I'll even say, like with some of the things that I'm doing here, some of this stuff that I'm doing, I started this stuff. I created it over 10 years ago, and it's just now catching on to people, or now
Yeah.
catching on to it. Like people are, I couldn't get people to say kings and queens up for my life when I first started it, but now people are like they're greeting me. They're coming, queens up, queen B. They're saying it,
Well,
and
because it's so authentic and it's so
yes,
needed. We have to see ourselves as who we really are, not how others have tried to put down or oppress on us. Right. And so when you have and you walk in that self love, and I'll tell you, I'll be honest, it took me a long time to have true self love. And
hmm
thankfully, I did that work of introspection, isolation. I
hmm
don't want people to think when you're isolated, that's not like a time to be upset and depressed. That's a time
right,
refine and sharpen and heal and do the shadow work and introspection. And I did all that work prior to meeting my queen. And I think that that's how I got myself prepared as a human, but as a man to then
hmm
energetically attract, my wife Alana. And so
Yes.
tell people all the time, self-love is everything. And I have that in my Elevators to Love relationship coaching program. You have got to truly love in yourself. And that's the key, because then when you have that, then you could extend it out and truly love another.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so let's get back into some astrology.
Yeah, let's do it.
Talk to me now about the two main types of astrology. So I know there's Vedic astrology and then you have Western astrology. What are the difference between the two? And how do you see them? And what evolutionary principles have you kind of incorporated from Vedic astrology into the Western tropical
That's
astrology
a great
practice?
question. So
Thank
the
you.
Western tropical is more based on the equinoxes and the solstice, right? And it's, you know, you start Aries season, right, at the spring equinox. Okay.
Mhm.
And then, you have the Libra season at the fall, right? And then the solstices, which we just had the summer solstice, Cancer season, and
Mhm.
then the Capricorn. The Vedic is, based on the actual constellations in the sky. So that's
Mhm.
why, and there's about, I think, a 22 to 26 degrees difference. And so,
Mhm.
depending on the date you're born, people say in the Vedic, like, you're not really a Virgo, you're a Leo, or not for me, like I'm a Virgo in both systems, but just
Yeah,
giving you
yeah.
that example, right? Because the
They might
degrees.
say that for me because I'm on the cusp. I'm right on the cusp of
Exactly.
Leo
And
and
so,
Virgo.
you will see these different variations. But what I tell people, right? Look at both. There's nothing wrong with learning or studying or looking at your chart at both, but see what resonates with you. Now, I've
Yeah.
done, I mean, well over, I'm probably up to like 1,200, 1,300 charts at this time. And I will tell you, for me, when I looked at my own birth chart, the Vedic had me as a Virgo, but it had me as a Libra rising sign.
Mhm.
And in the Western tropical, it has me as a Scorpio. Now, my life
Mm.
story and my life experiences is all Scorpio rising. The
Mhm.
Libra ascendant, the only thing that's Libra ascendant about me is that I can be peaceful and charming, but I
Yes.
am symmetrical. My face is
Mhm.
symmetrical and my upper and lower torso is symmetrical. And that is a
Mhm.
marker of the Libra rising sign. But from my empathic energy, from my transformations, from even the descriptors of Scorpio, Sun, Moon, Rising, there'll be issues that your mother will go through during the pregnancy or the birth, things like that. Everything checks for me being the Scorpio rising. So, what I would tell to your audience is, I've seen it where if you were born more in India, Asia, Africa, you may
Mhm.
resonate more with the Vedic sidereal system. If you
Mhm.
are born more in the Western, or the Northern Hemisphere over here, you may resonate with Western tropical. And in Western tropical, you have Placidus and the whole sign system. Now, I connect back to more Hellenistic astrology
Mhm.
because, Robert Hand and other older astrologers, they were able to interpret ancient books from Babylon and Alexandria in ancient times. And when they translated it, the books that the astrologers were, the systems they were using, it was the whole sign system. So it's more
Mhm.
ancient and more accurate. When you use the Placidus, which is basically the ascendant is connected to the birth time for all
Mhm.
systems, but where in the whole sign, you have one sign in each house. In the Placidus, let's say if you were born at 15 degrees and you are Capricorn rising, well, then they would consider the first house beginning at that 15th degree, right?
Mhm.
So then you would have 15 degrees of Capricorn in your first house and then 15 degrees of Aquarius. So that's why
Mm.
you have people say, oh, I'm a Capricorn rising, but I have Aquarius in the first house. And I'm like, whoa, 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 that's just so confusing
Oh.
to interpret. And then Placidus also has what we call interceptions. Now, the
Mhm.
problem with that is that we have access to all 12 signs and all those energies. And
Mhm.
remember, each month the moon goes through all 12 signs. So
Right.
let's say if you were that Cap rising and you had an interception, and so you were like Capricorn, Aquarius, and then it skipped Pisces and it went to Aries. So you didn't have the Pisces Virgo energy in your chart. Be like, wait a minute, wait, that makes no sense. Because right now,
Right.
The North Node's in Pisces till July 2026. The moon every month will be in Pisces. And
And I was
so,
gonna say, and it's gonna be, it has to be somewhere. Pisces
yeah.
can't just be.
Well, what they say is that the energy is just harder for you to access and it's laying more dormant and whatever.
Mhm,
But I just don't resonate with that. And trust me,
mhm,
I will tell you, as an astrologer, I know plenty of brilliant astrologers that use the Placidus system. So you'll
mhm,
never hear Eric Taylor criticize or hate on or rip or knock another astrologer because they're just
mhm,
tools to getting to the truth. The Placidus reader can interpret your chart and get you revelation and truth, just like the Western tropical whole sign, like me, or the
mhm,
Vedic sidereal. So they're all
mhm,
just tools and avenues to get to the truth. But for me, I use principles of the Vedic astrology. Like, for example, in Western Tropical, they'll tell you a lot of, books will tell you that the whole sign, that that your in-laws, that you may see them in the ninth house.
mhm,
Well, when I was doing my interpretations or my chart readings, I resonate with the Vedic. The Vedic says the eighth house, which is the merging of your after the marriage, and the seventh house, the eighth house, is the resources of your partner, and it also indicates the in-laws. Well, that checks out and it resonates with me, so I use principles of the Vedic. But I
mhm,
also use evolutionary astrology, which gets into the outer planets. For Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, these are about the planets that are connecting to the evolution of your soul in this
mhm,
incarnation, right?
mhm,
Pluto deals with pain, trauma, and crises from childhood, but also from your past life or past lives.
mhm,
Neptune is about the evolution of your spirituality in this lifetime. Uranus is about your soul seeking freedom and liberation, breaking the social norms and fracturing the structures.
mhm.
So that's an evolutionary approach. And so I like to, being a Virgo, and I have this 11th house stellium in Virgo. So it has, not exactly, but it's like associated with Aquarian energy, the 11th house.
Mhm,
And so I'm always going to be a rebel and a black sheep. And, I
mhm.
merge it all together to give you amazing astrology readings and to really give you the truth, food for your soul.
Yeah, and then you're revolutionizing, the approach. You're revolutionizing an approach to astrology, and then also creating your own niche and your own lane in the way that your interpretations come through,
Yeah,
so I think that's brilliant. And I think that really just is a testament to you being a nine destiny, really using all of the tools that you have necessary, to be able to help you organize and inspire and motivate that collective. So you're really doing that. And I think that's cool. And I think, in the same way, when we think about numerology, there's several different systems of numerology. So, like you
exactly.
said, for one thing, if it's all birth name, I might just be using the Pythagorean system. But if I'm
Right.
going by your business name or the name that you're most known by, we're going to look at the Chaldean system. So, there's just different systems that allow you to uncover different areas, and they're just different tools, like you said, different pathways to get to that truth. But they're all valid and they all have their energy and their truth within them.
Yeah, and that's why I don't like when you'll see, people will talk bad about each other or comment and,
They
oh,
will.
you don't know what you're talking about. You need to look at Vedic, or you don't know this. You need to look at Placid. I'm just like, can you guys stop it? Like, it,
Yeah.
you know, you have to understand that
Yes.
people will try to divide you or try to make you feel less than. And I love when people feel like they've figured something out that you don't know or you're not aware of. And I'm like, oh, child, please. I've been knew
Right,
that.
like
Like, you know what I
like,
mean? Like,
teach me, like, I'm teachable, and that's one thing,
yeah.
we're
And
all
that's
on
well,
this, we're
that's the
all
thing.
still students.
I'm always the humble student.
Yeah,
Always. But I don't like I just don't get, you'll see people. I've never in my life, Queen, gone to another person's YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and IG and
to
left a
argue
negative
with them.
comment. I just don't
Right,
do it.
yeah,
I don't even understand that mentality. I've
right,
never been that person. So
right,
I can't relate to that. I'm always gonna uplift,
right,
and if I did not enjoy what I viewed, then I just keep it moving. I'm not gonna
right,
leave
you
you a
don't say anything, you just
comment.
keep it moving, right, keep on scrolling, and I think, a lot of people don't have the capacity to do so. They
Well,
want,
based out of a place of insecurity, and I
yeah.
know that, so.
And you know that, and and some people just want to argue for argument's sake, so that's a part of that too. So you guys make sure we're not done. We're just giving a little Big E's information. Make sure you guys are following Big E on all social media platforms. He is on
Yes.
X at Big E Astrology. He's on IG at Big E Astrology, and YouTube Big E Astrology.
And
I
hey,
see
go
him
follow me
in
on
here.
TikTok. I'm trying to grow on TikTok too.
On TikTok. Oh yeah, on TikTok, Big E Astrology. Look,
Everything's, I make it
anywhere you're
simple.
looking
Big
for
E
him,
Astrology everywhere.
just type in Big E Astrology, and literally he will pop up. His picture will pop up, and you'll know that that's him. Make sure you guys send him an email, Eric at bigeastrology.com. And if you want to book a reading with Big E, you can visit his website at bigeastrology.com. Also, you guys make sure you hit his Cash App and show Big E some love. His
Mm,
Cash App is $Big E Astro. I love that.
thank you.
And his PayPal is send it as a friend, because you know how PayPal likes to get down.
Yeah.
You know,
And that
they
one's
like
the
to,
only one that's different. That's still my old business name.
is it okay?
Tailored, right? The number
Tailored to
two,
you.
the letter U,
Yeah.
tailored to you coaching. Yeah.
I love it. Tell her to you coaching if you want to send a PayPal, um, and everything like that. So you guys can get into that. So let's talk about the tribe real quick. So you have a community. It's called
Yes.
the Knowledge is Love Tribe Community. I love the community. I'm a part of it.
Yes.
So talk about the community. Talk about your inspiration for doing it, and so a little bit of background on how getting it off the ground and all that. Go ahead.
Sure. Well, thank you so
Hmm.
much. And
Hmm.
thank you for being a part of the community and sharing your amazing astro numerology insight and knowledge, because it's so appreciated and needed. My community was an extension, really, from the podcast Knowledge is Love. And, my vision and dream has always been about, like, finding a safe space where people can talk about all the things we talk about, whether it's astrology, numerology, spirituality, crystals, right? All the metaphysical arts. I've
Hmm.
got groups ranging in those to creativity, self love and relationships, business. Also, what my wife and I really wanted to do is extend from the Knowledge is Love Astrology podcast on YouTube, which it really is a family affair, right? And
Hmm.
honestly, some of that just came out of, me needing a little Ed McMahon, whether it was my wife or my mother-in-law or one of my three sons, reading the questions in the chat. But you'll go to a lot of people's shows and they don't really address the people in the chat. And for me, I feel like if
Hmm.
people are going to spend their hour or hour and 10 or 15 or 30 minutes with someone, you should not just say, like, hey, thanks everybody being in the chat. You should say their name. You should connect with them. You should know, like I do on my channel. This is really cool, something I do. And I don't know if I've ever seen anybody else do it. If you're new to my channel, I ask you for your big three, which in astrology is your sun sign, your moon sign, and your rising sign ascendant. And then I give everyone a free breakdown and interpretation of it. But that's my way of just, like, saying thank you, but creating that tribe, that family, that community. And so then we started our community. It's www.community.bigeastrology.com. And in this tribe, it's not my community. It's not Alana's community. It's our community. Because right
Hmm.
now we're at a place where we have, in our physical life, need to find our tribe, but also in our spiritual and online connections, finding our tribe. So me creating this, for example, like, we created a new group because one of our members who's here tonight, Chantel, is amazing as a farmer and a homesteader and gardening. And
Yes.
so we were like, okay, boom, let's create a group for that. And, you could headline it and contribute to it because she's got expertise in it. But we
Hmm.
all need to learn how to grow our food, our herbs, our plants, right? And come back home to
Yes.
nature. So that's what this tribe is about. And in there's discounts for my members. I have a premium membership for $18 a month where you get 10% off of all my services, right?
Hmm.
Both memberships, even for the $5, you get 20%
Hmm.
off of Sabale Pure. And my wife, her organic and vegan body and skincare. I always joke, Queen Bee, we're coming up on
Top notch.
17 years of marriage, but we're not getting divorced. Like, that's not even an option. But I said to her,
It
and I
better
mean,
not be.
no, but I say this honestly. I mean this. even if we weren't together, you guys, I would use her products because they're
Yes.
just that good.
Yes.
And for the love she puts in them. But we've
Mhm.
got that. We have exclusive content. We have deals from discounts and offerings from all my podcast guests that I've had on. And if anyone has ever come to my channel, I've interviewed, it is so humbling. I've interviewed some amazing people in
Yes.
all walks of life and fields. And a lot of them, not everyone, but a lot of them have offered discounts specifically for my tribe. Um, I also, after being in a community for a year, you get 50% off of a natal chart reading, a solar return chart, which shows your upcoming year of life, an unconscious soul chart, which connects to the gene keys in human design, where your soul is like kind of really full and complete 88 days before your birth. And it creates a
Mhm.
new birth time and a new birth date. For example,
Mhm.
right, you as the Leo, you would be a Taurus sun sign. Me as the
Mhm.
Virgo, I'm a Gemini sun sign. So that's a whole new way to look at your chart, and it's showing you a perspective of your life on a soul level that's maybe different from the natal chart. So I highly encourage people to do that. And then last but not least, the option is the secondary progression chart, which is in the Bible, the book of Genesis. 1 day equals 1 year. So you move yourself forward, right? So I move myself forward like 55 days from September 10th. And that creates, so right now, like I'm vibrating as a Capricorn rising, and I've got like this
Mhm.
huge Scorpio stellium that's like absurd. So, it's they're really so much to offer. But what I love is that there's no spamming in my group, right? You'll see you join
Mhm.
groups like, and they're like, oh, don't spam. No, I want you to share your poem, your YouTube channel. Want you to share your numerology business, your knowledge. I want you to share if you're starting a business, if you're a tarot card reader, or you do, somatic work or yoga, whatever it is you do. In my tribe, when you can join this and become a tribe member, it's about you sharing and shining your light, and each one teach one. We all learning from one another. So
Right.
it's a beautiful, and it's growing. And we have our second tribe meeting this Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. I'll be sending out the link later tonight, and I just can't wait because we're gonna have a lot of fun. And a lot of these amazing people here on your show tonight, they'll be there, and they're just amazing human beings, and I'm honored and humbled. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, it is amazing. It really is a family atmosphere. Um, in the tribe, and when we do, you do the Zoom meetings. And you guys are just really on top of things. You know, and I really commend you because you are creating that safe space for people.
yes,
And again, Eric, like again, a lot of the things that you're doing through your Big E Astrology and just this knowledge is love tribe community that you have now. This is Sir, you are fulfilling. I'm telling you, you're fulfilling this life path 9, and you really are. This is all that's what it's all about. All everything that your life path is asking of you, you are doing it right now. And another tidbit about the life path 9,
mm,
a lot of times, we love, right? Love, nines and love and emotions, very emotional people. But with the life path 9, our love is for the universe. It's a universal
yes,
love. It's not a personal love. So there's oftentimes with us, we have disappointment in our personal love or personal affairs. And because we're meant for the stage, we're meant for the world stage, we're meant for a
yeah,
universal type of love. So oftentimes that means us kind of choosing that. And I think you found a great balance where you don't really need to do that because you have incorporated this space and this area where your family, this is your family, so there's no choice. Everything is here. It's all universal for you, and I
yeah.
think that's brilliant that you've gotten to that place. So kudos to you. You're really an
Thank
inspiration to me. um, just when I saw you, and especially I'm about to ask you right now about your hip hop.
yeah,
Both of us, are artists.
yeah.
So talk about your hip hop now. Talk about how do you incorporate that authentic hip hop style of yours into your astrological insights. How do you do that? And tell us about a little bit more about your, meshing of those two things together.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. It's a great question. And it was so funny as you were talking and saying that, it's like everything that I've done in my life is come full circle and brought to fruition in terms of it's all integrated in who I am today and what I do. I've
Mhm.
only always been Eric Taylor and Big E. Big E is actually my nickname that I got since I was about 6.5, 7 years old. In summers times, I would go spend up in Martha's Vineyard in Cape Cod and Oak Bluffs with my aunt and my uncle and my cousins. And I was the shortest kid in the league, had big glasses, big mouth, and a big feet. My name is Eric. And when the coach, he was like, this kid is so cute. I could barely reach the hoop. All year, I made one basket. I had 2 points, and I barely could reach the hoop. The team I played on was UCLA, and his name was Coach Peter Clemens, and he called me the Big E. He said, your name is Big E. And it stuck with me so much so that even up on Martha's Vineyard, there's certain people, they may not even know that my name is Eric. They only know me as Big E.
Right.
And I have that tattoo on my right shoulder that I got after I graduated college at the University of Maryland. So for me, growing up in New York City, I am, as I say, like the younger brother of hip hop. So like my sister and stepbrother, they're the same age. And my stepbrother actually went to elementary school with Karis One. And, I'm of
Mm.
that age where I was around at the original like block parties and house parties, but I was, the little kid. And so I've always loved hip hop, but I've always loved the culture. And, through my years in life, I laugh, even my wife and other people joke that I'm sort of like a hip hop snob, but it's because it's my first love. And
Mhm.
so people will like this and like that and this and that. But you see, for me, it's not a game. It's not it is who I am. It is my breath. I would say, if I'm being honest, I'm just as much as the MC as I am an astrologer,
Mhm.
because literally I will rhyme, and I do rhyme every day, but I will rhyme to my last breath on planet Earth. Like,
Mhm.
growing up in New York City, my teachers were Rakim, Run DMC, Slick Rick, Karis One,
Mhm.
Spoonie G, Africa Bambaataa, right? Zulu
The
Nation.
legends, yeah, the
And
icons.
yeah, and so for me, I don't. I will be honest. I did not like when hip hop left New York and started to go to Florida and Los Angeles
Mhm.
and other places, because I noticed how it was changing. Now I
Mhm.
respect now everybody's version of hip hop and creativity, but in terms of how it was started with Cool Herc and the Bronx and just the intention, you know, we were not getting down into, I think even, Grandmaster Flash and Melly Mel and the Furious Five, we were not getting down into some of the spaces that hip hop has gone off into. And now I find, in a lot of ways, it stopped being hip hop a long time ago.
Yes.
Um, and I don't get into the trap and the mumble crap rap. It's not for me. But I am not a hater. When I see
Mhm.
young talent and young people that spit bars, because to me, you rhyme for a reason, and words
Mhm.
matter. I'm a wordsmith, and
Yes.
lyrics matter. So
Lyrics
just like
matter.
numbers matter, right? And all this stuff
Yes.
matters. Like, to me as a Virgo, right? I mean, just think about the Virgo MCs, from Dougie Fresh to Nas to
Nas.
Ludacris to Exhibit to
Yeah.
Nikki D, E Complete. And two of my cats that I rhyme with and were producers of my first two albums, Jay Styles, and he rocks with Ultramagnetic MCs, and Rugged and Raw. He's a,
Even the
underground.
Geminis, because that's the
Yeah.
5 energy too. So it's
Oh yeah,
that
yeah.
it's
And so
yeah.
to me, it's like you have, and of course, my Virgo twin brother, September 10th, one of my favorite
Mhm.
MCs of all time, Big Daddy Kane. So
Mm.
for me, you when you do hip hop, you can tell if someone loves it or not. You can tell with the words, the pen, the intention, and all that stuff. So for me, I am very much a purist. And I am very intentional in my lyrics. My first album is titled Hip Hop Forever,
Mhm.
and my second album is titled True Speaker. Now, coming up, hopefully in 2026, I'm starting to, get some tracks together. I've got a bunch of tracks, but I've, within my business, and, I'm
Mhm.
writing my first astrology book, and I'm starting to write my NDE book. I'm involved in a documentary. So I'm doing a lot. I got my tribe,
Yes, you are.
doing public speaking, webinars, everything. But I am going to do my third and potentially final, but I won't say that anymore. My third album, which is God Told Me to Tell You. And I got the name
Mm.
like a download. And it was like
Yes.
2017, 2018. And I was like, that's a long title. It's kind of wonky. I'm like, why do I have this title? God Told Me to Tell You? But
Mhm.
then 2020 happened, almost dying,
Mm,
and coma happened. And now I know and I understand why I got that title, because
why you got
now I
that
know
title?
why and what I need to say and why, as God told me to tell you. So I cannot wait. And for me, everything is from my heart and my sleeve. But I say all that to say the MC, the actor, the sketch comic, all that comes into my astrology. If you watch my YouTube channel, number one, you'll be like, "Whoa, this dude is a workhorse." You see my
Yes.
Virgo Capricorn moon because
Yeah.
your entire birth chart, right, from my channel. And so
Yes.
I put in that work, but when you watch my videos, it's like Harris One said, edutainment. I want you to be educated, but like I said with the podcast, if you're spending time with me, I want you to be entertained. So in the
Mm.
middle of a video of me talking about the moon in Virgo or Mars in Capricorn, I'm going to make you laugh. I'm going to teach you. I'm going to do comedy characters and voices. I'm going to do a rhyme. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like that is literally Eric Taylor, Big E, every day, all day. So, even my wife and kids, one of my boys the other day, he's so sweet. He's like, Dad, you could really be like a real serious professional rapper. I was like, yeah, buddy, I know. I was like, I am. I was like, I'm just underground. I'm not, signed to a major label for
And
a
you gotta
million.
teach them about the underground, that's all.
Well,
It's the
yeah.
mainstream and the underground.
And I listen, I tell cats, I said, listen, my tools are not as sharp as they used to be, because when I was younger, I was a battle rapper. I was like a real,
Yeah, and you're more hungry when you're younger too. You
well,
have got
yeah,
that
but
hunger.
also I've been doing so many other things. But I tell
Yes.
people, I said, listen, please don't ever, take this spiritual astrology, spiritual woohoo guy. I'm not for joke. I am a
Right.
real MC. I will verbally. I have gone through military training with my mind and my tongue. I can verbally destroy any human being on this planet with my words if I'm
I
pushed to that
I
place.
believe you.
Okay. And
I
that's
believe
that's
you.
and that's 100% for real, because that's how I grew up with battling. I used to rhyme with
Yes.
cannabis. I met Karis One many a times. And when I was at University of Maryland, Smith and Wesson, Black Moon,
Mm,
OC, different cats would come down. I'd be in ciphers all over in DC and Maryland. Like yeah, I'm the real deal. Like, so,
right.
I have fun on my show, but when it comes to, like, if you really listen to my first two albums, you'd be like, whoa, like, even like when the pandemic hit, some of my
Right.
rhymes, it was prophetic. I was prophecy. I was predicting the future. You know what I
Right.
mean? So, I've got a song called Be Careful. If you listen to it, you would be like, wait a minute, did you release this like, you know, April of 2020? You know what I mean?
Right.
Because of just the content. So I love it. And I love to bring it all, and it all connects to really authentically who I am.
It does. It does, and it really shows through your work. We see it through the channel. And speaking of the channel, let's speak about the Knowledge is Love podcast. So we know we talked about the tribe and the community, and it was born, like you said, out of the podcast. Talk to us a little bit about your podcast. I think it's an excellent podcast. You bring a plethora of different spiritualists, authors, entrepreneurs. You just bring a plethora of people to the podcast. So talk about that a little bit, about your motivation for starting it, and what your goals were, and tell us, where do you see the podcast moving to in the future?
You know me, I'm like Pinky in the Brain, total domination. I mean, to me, I see it as a television show. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Because I'm going to entertain people in ways that really very few humans on the planet can. So, like,
Mhm.
to me, I could see it where I'm interviewing guests from all walks of life. I'm breaking down their chart. Doing some rhyme. I'm asking them questions, and they're sharing their story. But I'm revealing, as I do with all my guests, right, some of their astrological placements, explaining who they are and how they dispense their soul and their talents and gifts to the collective. So for me, the Knowledge is Love Astrology podcast is really about talking about astrology, teaching it to people, but also tapping into all things, whether it's spirituality, numerology, meditation, yoga, health, business. I've had rappers on. People who are into somatic work, all types of healers, psychics, mediums. It has just gone and grown. But I love the fact that on any episode, I'm learning myself and my
Yes.
audience is literally learning, but not just to learn, but to learn, gain knowledge, and then integrate it into wisdom to improve their daily lives. And
Right.
so I tell people all the time, like, listen, you don't want to miss an episode of my podcast, because even if I don't have a guest and it's just me and my wife or me and my kids, number one, me and my wife, it's a lot of fun. People love it. And
You
sometimes
guys are I love
she is so, oh my God, can I tell
guys,
you?
I swear. I love both of you and the kids too. Like don't
Thank
leave
you.
them
But
out.
my
I
wife
love
is
it.
freaking, Alana is funny. Oh my God.
She
She cracks
is.
me up. And some of it comes from the humor of her living with a professional intuitive astrologer, but still not really getting or memorizing or
Right, right,
knowing
right.
astrology, right? Her
Yeah.
expertise is business and branding
Yes.
and, organic and vegan body and skincare. My wife is
Yes, our
smart as
Miss
wit,
number
but
8.
but
Yes.
I think that's some of the real life humor and just the energy of seeing a couple, and a Black couple, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Or I should say an
Yes.
indigenous American couple in love, and
Yeah.
just really revealing, just sharing who we are. But to me,
Yes.
I want my audience to come away after they spent an hour and a half with me, where they're like, wow, I didn't know that. Now I know this. Oh, wow, this person taught me, right? Like, whether you're and I've had some huge guests on. I mean, I just think about the brother that I just had on a week or so ago, Joseph Octaviani from Life the Plant Way. He's a
Mhm.
brilliant herbalist and has an
Yes.
amazing herbal shop and store in Long Beach, California. And I've used his products, Queen, and they work and they help people to
Mhm.
heal.
Mhm.
So that's what, to me, this is about, and connecting with these people, and then sharing them with you. And that's what I'm most proud of, because I don't care who you are, any walk of life. You could be a Fortune 500 person, you could be a president, a CEO. You come to my channel, you're still going to learn, because there's something that
Right.
you did not know that me or my guests will share and pour that revelation on you.
Absolutely. And that's why we do what we do.
Yeah.
Um, there's always something to learn. I mean, we're students on this earth. We came to this planet to learn. So we're going to be learning till the day we die. And I say, if you're not learning, that might be the day that you might be mentally dead. So, you got to
Yes.
continue to edify yourself, and learn and grow, and can tell us as such an amazing family with great, loving, and caring energy.
Thank
I could not agree with her more. And Steven said that Eric and Alana are authentic. You guys are.
thank
Um, you guys just really have a special place in my heart.
thank
I
yeah.
think you guys are really the best, and I love what you guys do as a family. I love that you do it as a family. I
Yeah.
think it's an excellent, you know, um, it's an inspiration to people. And I'm
Yeah.
always over here talking about kings up and queens up
Yeah.
and royalty rules. You guys are a living exemplary of those things that
Thank
I put forth, so
And it's
it
very
could
humbling when you say that.
yeah.
I receive that, and I'm working on receiving more. You know what I mean? Because I'm very much
Yes,
a giver. But
yes.
I love when, when I click go live, and then these names and these people show up, and new people come, and some people come and stay for a while, and they'll fade away, but then they come back. I have some OG regulars that will come back. I'm like, oh, I haven't seen you in 6 months. Welcome back.
Right,
And it's like, I'm still here. But
right.
I want them to know, like, I actually do think about them, and I do miss them. You know what I mean? And I do, like,
Yeah.
because even though we're through this technology, like I said before, you're spending an hour uh Queen, there's a million channels and streaming networks, there's a
Oh,
million channels
a
on YouTube.
million.
You could be
And then you
anywhere.
you got YouTube, then you got all the other social medias that people
Yes.
could be watching too.
IG, TikTok, this Snapchat,
Yeah,
you could be anywhere. For you to come to my humble abode and my channel, and
yeah.
dance with me and give me your ear and your heart, you know what I mean, once or twice a week, like that's like, wow, it's gold to me.
Priceless.
So like to me, I don't know how other people get down. Some people, you can feel their energy. Some people are very transactional. Some
Mm-hmm.
people are in it for the bag and the money. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I receive the money with gratitude, but to
Mm-hmm.
me, this is a calling. This is my life work. Like
Yes.
like I love Galactic Historian, right? She's an Akashic
Mm-hmm.
Records master teacher. Debbie Solaris has been on my channel, and now we're friends. And she did my Akashic Records reading, and she literally said, she's like, Eric, you have been working on astrology for millennia, right? That I literally helped to form the zodiac and the constellations and back in Lyra and Vega. And it
Mm-hmm.
makes sense because Queen, when I really started, I've always been into astrology. As a little kid, I knew that my sister was a Libra, my mom was a Taurus, my dad was the Aries, and I was a Virgo, right? So after I would read the sports section of the New York Post, then I'd go check out the
You go do
horoscope.
astrology.
Yep, I go, and I was always into it. But when I started to really, through getting sick with the Valley Fever, and then started to really read, research, study, and then take professional courses, it was just a remembering. I
Yes.
I knew, like, the way that I picked it up, it wasn't natural. Even my astrology teacher, and I worked with other people, but my main teacher, Heather Elin, and I was honored to have her on my channel. She's also a Virgo and Scorpio rising like me. I picked
Mm-hmm.
it up so quickly that it didn't make logical sense. And then
Mm-hmm.
that resonates with what Debbie said, that like, no, you picked it up because you've been doing this for many, and even in ancient Atlantis, in Kemet. I've been doing it in the galactic and on Earth for a long time.
And I think that's amazing, and I think it's brilliant, and then that comes from, working with all these different people for you to find that information out, to know, hey, this really is your soul's path. This is what
Yes.
you have been, your whole life has been guiding you toward this. So I think that's excellent, that you were able to see that. And I mean, look all the great work you're doing. I mean, you're literally changing people's lives. So I think that that's amazing. Let's talk about your astrological life coaching sessions.
Okay.
Because I think that's brilliant. I love that astrological life coaching.
Yeah.
What are some of the key steps and the key things that you do to help your clients shape a path that's aligned for their goals and their aspirations?
That's a great question. Thank you so much. So, you know, I started it years ago, and now I've just revamped it with the help of my
Mm-hmm.
amazing wife. It's now a 5-month program that is really to reshape, realign, and truly transform your life for the better forever, a permanent
Mm-hmm.
transformation.
Mm-hmm.
And what I do is I start off by kind of interviewing my clients and potential clients, and really find out where they're at and what are their goals, right? What do they want to learn? What do they want to heal? What do they want to change and transform? And then we get into really doing a natal birth chart reading. Now,
Mm-hmm.
if someone's already done a birth chart reading with me, right, we can kind of do the initiation of it, where it'd be a solar return for that year or secondary progression. The key
Mm-hmm.
is it's about the person really learning who they are through the birth chart, because it's what they selected. You chose
Mm-hmm.
your parents. There's no
Mm-hmm.
victimhood in astrology or in the physical or in the spiritual realm. And so, once you kind of get that down, then I take you through each week. We do a deep dive, 3 houses at a time, right? Teaching
Mm-hmm.
you how to integrate not just the planets, but the degrees, the deacons, all the aspects. And
Mm-hmm.
my wife and I have created in this program where you're going through the stages of what the houses represent to those themes of life, where we brought in Ho'oponopono, we're bringing in feng shui, we're bringing in guided meditations, we're bringing
Mm-hmm.
in, I did this recording, is so dope, doing, positive affirmations, right? I help
Mm-hmm.
my clients create a dream book. We do inner child work.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing an element where we're doing things to help you on your health and diet and food, right? So when you go through each, right? So each week we're doing 3 houses at a time. I'm
Mm-hmm.
helping you become a Jedi, right? The JED,
Yes.
DJEDI, it's a real thing, right? And it's helping you to align with your chakras and master the energy and flow of your natal birth chart. This is a program that I envision one day. Like, this is like, it's next level. Like, it is so full of love and knowledge. It's kind of
Hmm.
like a culmination of like everything put together to make you change your life, and no going backwards. Like, I mean,
Right.
from work to, dream kits. And so when you signed up, you get in the mail a notepad, a wooden pencil, right? Because when we write things, this goes back to Nikola Tesla, right? 369, writing with the pencil from nature, it really
Hmm.
connects you and aligns you in a deeper way spiritually
Hmm.
to manifesting and to your words and thoughts, right? So you get a notepad, a pencil, a crystal, and a candle. Right. And I send that to you. And then we, do the whole questionnaire and we get into, I mean, it's so exciting. And I've had clients just have huge transformations in their life. And now this program is even more robust on a whole nother level. And it's a game changer. So I am, and right now I just have it at a kind of really a lower price, because after we're done with the 8 weeks, then I don't just leave you, because transformation doesn't happen in 8 weeks. What
Hmm.
we meet the next 3 months. That's why it's a 5 month program. We meet for the next 3 months once a month, but I'll be sending you weekly check-in emails, right? Different videos to watch, affirmations and things. So you're integrating all this stuff, because like what we've created is to be, and it is a little overwhelming at first, right? In
Hmm.
8 weeks, but you're not going to get it all in 8 weeks. You're going to take the next 3 months and then bring it into your daily life, bring it
Right.
into your dreams, bring it into your
Slowly
writing,
incorporate it. Yeah.
affirmations and meditations. So that way, this becomes like breathing, like drinking water, a way of life for you. And along the way through, and that's the thing, right? Taking my lemons into lemonade, through my sickness and illness, through my NDE, through my caregiving of my mother who survived breast and brain cancer, and I took care of her, and dementia over 20 years. All of
Hmm.
this has come to me being, I don't claim or label things, right? Like, I don't say, oh, I'm this and I'm that, right? But
Right.
I am kind of like a little bit of a health guru, because I done been through it, right?
Yeah.
You don't want someone that just studied and talks about things. You want someone that's been through the trenches.
Experience.
And I
Yes.
I have been through the trenches in every aspect of. There's not a subject or topic like, yeah, I went through that. Oh yeah, I went through that. Oh yeah, I did that. Well, you know what I mean? And so I come from a real heart-filled, authentic space to really help people to improve their lives, for the
Hmm.
better, but a permanent, real change. So this is a beautiful program. So I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, I am too. And it's just a testament to the great work that you do. Just another, great thing that you can say that you do that actually helps to transform people's lives, because this work does actually transform people's lives.
Yeah.
So kudos
And
to
you know
you. I
what it is,
think that's
Queen, too?
awesome.
Earth School is not easy.
No,
This is not for the weak, right? We are strong
no.
souls, and everyone living and watching this show live or on the replay, right? Shout out to my brother, the King, Nick Westbrooks. He said, "I'll be catching on the replay, bro." I said, "Thank you, sir."
Peace
He
and
said,
love to Nick. Nick,
"Yeah,
yeah, he was
Nick is brilliant."
just on.
But you know what I mean? Like, this, we are brave souls to
Yes.
be here at this change. It doesn't seem comfortable every day. And I tell people, right, turn off that tell I vision and have
Yes.
spiritual discernment even on the social media. We could, even as
Yes.
adults, we get on the kids, but as adults, we got to put the phone down too. We have
Hmm.
to be quiet and still. We have to do breath work and meditate and do toning. We have to ground in earth and nature and connect to the trees and the plants, and literally just call someone on the phone, not text them. Like, speak to human beings, look people in the face, breathe, and exchange of energy. So, like, that's really super, super important, because these are not easy times. And for
Right.
me, I feel like I have gained a wealth of knowledge and wisdom and experience to kind of be that bright light, to kind of help people on this journey. And
Mm-hmm.
through my gifts and my knowledge, and let me tell you something, even as an actor, Queen, I mean, being a New Yorker, right? Number one, every street corner in New York is a movie. And then so
Yes.
that made me a very talented actor because I always studied and observed human beings and how they
Yes.
react, every culture, every, the genders, the religions. Like, I mean, I just I know people, right? You know what I mean? And so then that extends to my astrology knowledge, but
Yes.
which extends to the relationship. I tell people, I said, listen, I've been a relationship coach since I was like 12, 13 years old. This ain't new to me. I was giving advice to my homeboys and my homegirls when I was like 12, 13. And they'd be like, wow, because I just studied people.
Right.
And so,
Right.
I love being able to help people. And I do it. And that's the thing. I love and thank you, right, for the flowers, because even for Alana and I, sometimes it's been hard, right? Being in Arizona, it's been a gift, but it's been a very challenging transition. We've
Mm-hmm.
had people come in and out of our lives, and people just fade away for no reason, and people just cut
Mm-hmm.
us off or stop talking, and like, wait a minute, I didn't do nothing bad to nobody. I didn't curse
Right.
nobody. I didn't say anything inappropriate. I didn't hit on somebody's wife. Like what,
Right.
what happened? But I
What
realized
happened?
Alana and I know for myself as a Scorpio rising, I am often a real reflection, a mirror to others. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I think with the Scorpio rising, and this is a textbook thing, I am an empath, but it's like I have an MRI machine. When I meet someone, I can see right through them. And sometimes
Mm.
that can be intimidating for people, and people can feel, butt naked in front of me. And it's like, and I'm just, and we're just real people. Alana and I are very real.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's uncomfortable for others. You know
Yes.
what I mean? It shouldn't be,
It
and we're
shouldn't be, but it comes from a place too, Biggie, because again, like you said, you attract what your vibration is. So if people aren't healed they aren't in a place, they may not be able to be in the presence of you and Alana.
yeah,
I noticed that with myself with people.
yeah.
Sometimes people just, they can't be around you because they're in such a vibrational state, that being around someone at that high frequency, it could make them sick physically.
Oh yeah.
So it could make them sick physically, or it could make them mentally ill, where they have these fits of jealousy, envy, and rage, and all
Oh,
those types of fears, doubts about themselves from
and
looking
the
at you and what
insecurities
you're
too.
doing. The insecurities, yeah, that's what I mean, like comparing themselves and all that kind of stuff. So that kind of plays a big role in it. And oftentimes when people disappear out of my life like that, like you said, because that's happened to me too, I think, sometimes I look at it, I'm like, well, maybe that was a blessing for me.
Yes.
Because I don't know, energy can go either way. You can pull people up or people can bring you down. So,
So
could have been one of those things where it could have really taken you off your balance. So, the universe, remove that person from you. Um,
Very,
so
very
I
true.
think yeah, I think that happens too. Talk to me a little bit about these eisms. So I see about your eisms. Tell us about how you came up with that, and tell us about how they reflect your philosophy, and how it allows you to help to keep people, in the know through astrological wisdom. Wisdom.
Well, we've got to get back to them, because when I first started
Hmm.
doing my newsletter, we would put them in there in each newsletter,
Hmm.
and Alana and I, we got to get back to it. But the eisms just came from Eric being Eric my whole life, right? I
Hmm.
would just have these phrases or sayings. And
Yes.
one of my famous eisms is what started the podcast, right? Knowledge is love. If you ever
Hmm.
have to guess, assume, or believe, you can do that wrong, right? So when you love someone, therefore you keep them in the know, right?
Yes.
Therefore, knowledge is love. Like, to me, right? I shouldn't have to guess, like, oh, does Alana love me? Right?
Right.
That's a place of insecurity and vulnerability.
Right.
I shouldn't have her thinking like, oh, is Eric coming home tonight? Like
Right.
what? So when you love someone, you keep them in the know. And that just means a little extra time, patience, consideration, right? Even how I would treat my mother as a young man, she gave me more freedom and responsibility, because I'd be like, hey mom, I'm going to so and so's house. I'll be home at 11:30. I get home 11:28, 11:29, 11:30, right? So that's how I earned more freedom. But it was the
Right.
knowledge, right? She didn't have to guess, is my son safe? Is he okay? Right. So I teach
Right.
that to my boys, like my teenage son. I'm like, hey, let me know where you're going, where you're going to be, and when you're coming home. So,
Mhm.
he will check in and we'll text and he'll call or whatever. But it's like knowledge is love, right? The people in your
Mhm.
life, there shouldn't be a big question mark sitting over their head. There
Correct.
should be a heart of love and knowledge. So,
Yes.
that was like the major one that really kind of like created the podcast. But I even said, like, this is one that I love, and I've noticed it to be true over the years of my life. I was like, tears, your tears, right? Tears cleanse the soul. So when you cry, it's like you're cleaning your soul. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And
I
so, like,
love
I
that.
have these different isms that really, like have just played out in my life as almost like these little maps of destiny, or a north star, a direction. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And
Mhm.
so, and I also say discipline is love. You know,
Yeah.
tell my children, I said, what belongs on the floor? Carpet and tile. Right? Not a wrapper, not a cheese stick wrapper, not potato chips. You know what I mean? Carpet and tile.
Right.
But discipline is love. You know what I mean? Like there's different things that they have become roadmaps of existence, or a way of life, of being, that
Mhm.
I really try to, because my mom would have sayings. You know what I mean? And I'd listen, and one of my favorite aunts, she would have these sayings. And so I would get it from the elders. And then I
Yes.
found my ways, because this is a different time and generation. The young kids,
Mhm.
they don't like to always be around the elders and listen and get drops of knowledge. When we were
Right.
growing up, to me, forget my peers. I wanted to be able,
Right.
my older cousins, my uncles, my mom, my aunts, my grandparents. I'm like, drop that wisdom and knowledge on me. You know what I mean? I didn't want to go to bed because I wanted to hear what the adults were talking about. Right?
Right. Yeah, you were a knowledge seeker. You're a knowledge seeker.
Always.
Yeah.
Always. And a truth seeker too, because to
Yes.
me, I always could sense the lies and deception.
Mhm.
Always.
Yeah, with me, it was like growing up, it was like I always knew something was off because things just didn't add up. They just didn't make sense. And I'm like, I'm very logical. You know me, I'm very logical, you
Yeah.
know? And I'm like, this just don't make sense. Like, if it don't make sense, then if it's not logical, if I can't like wrap my head around it, something's off. And it's like growing up, you never know what it is. Kind of I think it's like living through it. You don't actually see it, but then once you get to a certain level of knowledge, and a level of abstract thought processes, you
Yeah.
can look back and say, yeah, all that stuff was a lie. Like this is why I felt this way. Like so no, now it's so funny because where I am now in life, it's like back at growing up, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, the lies that were told, I'm like, literally the whole system is a lie.
Yeah. And if
Like
I always say,
literally,
if they're talking, they're lying.
yes. They're lying. Yes, like
From
literally.
TV to politics to medical
Yes.
system. I mean, it's unfortunate, but I think that this is why our souls are so brave, that we chose to be born at this time. And then for those who are awakened, to kind of like blaze the trail and shine the light of truth and revelation for others. Because I'm not one of those people. I'm not going to hate on people that may be in kindergarten or first grade in earth school,
Right.
and let's say I'm 11th 12th grade, or wherever I'm at. I don't like in the spiritual community, like this spiritual arrogance. That's not me.
Like the
Because,
snobism, like being a
yeah,
spiritual
because
snob.
I
Yeah.
want to meet people where they're at, because guess what? Somebody could like be caught up in the system, the matrix. I call it my government, my daddy, where their whole
Mhm.
existence is, Democrat, Republican, New York Times, CNN, Fox, Wall Street Journal,
Right.
NBC News, CBS,
They're
ABC,
plugged all the way in.
right? Caught up in the cognitive dissonance and just plugged in all the way. But they may have some revelation or go through a Kundalini awakening and just like get these downloads. And then next week they totally awaken and change. And then they may have all these clairs come online and be psychic and this and that. And then they could be like a huge spiritual guru giant way past me. So
Right.
I
Right.
hold space. I never put any human in a box. We all have
Right.
opportunities to grow, learn, and change. And I tell
Mhm.
this to the audience and to everybody watching live and on the replay. always be willing to embrace change and be comfortable with being uncomfortable. You're going to need to do that for the rest of 2025, right? Queen, July 7th, Uranus is going into Gemini for a sneak preview.
Yes. I was going to ask you about
2025,
that.
2025 is the year of sneak previews. In a movie theater, eating your popcorn, coming to attractions, because a lot of these outer planets are going to permanently move to these other signs in 2026. Saturn and Neptune will permanently move. They're in Aries now, but they'll permanently move into Aries in February 2026, right? Saturn to 2029, Neptune until 2039. That's a long time,
That's
Lucy.
generational. That's generational, baby.
Yes, Uranus.
Yeah.
Uranus is in Gemini on July 7th for a few months, and then it
So
will
let me
retrograde.
ask you about that. Let me
Okay,
ask you about Uranus entering Gemini. Because that's going to be a part of the planetary report that I'm doing for the July forecast. So you guys make sure you tune in for the July numerology forecast that's
yep,
dropping on July 1st. So
okay,
we have a lot going on this July. We have Mercury going retrograde
yep,
July
and 18th,
17th.
yep.
We
Well,
have
17th, yeah,
Saturn going.
17th, 18th, depending on where you live, yep.
Okay, and then we got Saturn going retrograde on around the 13th. And is that Saturn, is it going retrograde in Pisces on July
No, no,
13th?
no, it's in Aries, but
Is it in Aries?
it's in Aries, but it will start to
Okay.
retrograde, and then September 1st, it returns back to Pisces until
Okay.
February 2026.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And then we have Uranus, like you said, entering Gemini July 7th, and that'll be going through like around November 7th. So talk about that energy because that's going to be an upheaval in our technology, our communication. What's going on with this energy? I need to know about this.
Well, yeah, we all need to know about it because it's not
Yeah.
just the technology and communication.
Hmm.
It is going to affect our nervous system. Uranus
Oh.
rules the motherboard back in the neck, the central nervous system.
Hmm.
Gemini, rules the regular nervous system, the lungs, the
Yes.
hands. So
Hmm.
anxiety and stress
Hmm.
and even fear and overthinking and higher thought and revelation is going to be like, whew. Uranus is the planet, right, of sudden unexpected events, of
Hmm.
chaos, of extreme weather, right? In Taurus, it's been hashtag new earth. That's why now it's at the 29th degree until July 7th. If you've
Hmm.
noticed, the weather has been, I mean, we just had a tornado, right?
Tumultuous.
One of the
Yeah.
Dakota, the heat wave, this, that, earthquakes, this, I mean, people want to say, oh, it's global warming. Well, yeah, whatever, a little bit maybe, but it's really
Right.
also Uranus and Taurus. And what Uranus
Hmm.
is, so and the audience knows, it is the midlife crisis. It is the 7-year
Hmm.
itch. Uranus is in each sign in each house for 7 years. So when you
Hmm.
go through this transit, Gemini and Sagittarius risings, oh my goodness, they're not going to be the same people after 2026 to 2034. That's 7 years. And I say
Hmm.
2034 because it will go into Cancer and then retrograde back, and then permanently will go to Cancer in 2034. So, it's 7 years,
Hmm.
but, it's give or take because it will have the retrograde and stuff like that. So, Uranus and Gemini, not only will you see changes in flight, in cars and technology, along with the alignments
Hmm.
of Pluto and Aquarius, it is going to really get us to a place where I am predicting and thinking before we get to 2034, we may not have our friends here anymore, the cell phones, right? We may have like something that's like a debit credit card that on there
Hmm.
you can tap and see your friend or your face or
Hmm.
communicate or things like that.
Hmm.
And these are things that I saw when I was in coma. I saw things of the technology in
Mm.
the future, the apps on a computer floating outside of your screen where you just tap and move with your finger, no more using a mouse. We're
Mhm.
going to see, we already have it in Arizona and Nevada and Las Vegas, the Waymo cars, these driverless cars. They're going to start
Mhm.
in every state. They're only in like 4 or 5 states right now, but they're going to start to be everywhere. It's kind of wild. My
Mhm.
son likes to ride in them. He's like, Dad, I love the Waymos. It's better than Uber, and you have to worry about
Wow.
psycho Uber driver, right? It's a
Yeah,
driverless.
because there are some psycho ones out there.
Oh, be careful out there, ladies.
Yeah.
Anybody, be careful. But the Waymo, right? It's a driverless car, and it's really wild. But flight, transportation and flight, trains, light rail, all these things are going
Mhm.
to up level. Like how we were growing up, Queen. Remember the Jetsons, the cartoon? Well,
Yes.
some of the
I feel
Jetsons
like we're
stuff,
living in the Jetsons time now, kind
it's
of.
gonna well, it's gonna finally start to feel like the Jetsons and come to
Right.
fruition. But what you have seen, and I'm sure a lot of your audience has heard, we've heard, and a lot of astrologers have been concerned about this time because
Mhm.
these are some of the alignments, and you have to always look at history. You learn from history. These are some of the alignments that were around during the American Revolution, during the Civil War, during World War II, right? Now, I
Mhm.
tell people always, you guys, remember faith over fear. But that was also in times of the Piscean age. We're in the age of Aquarius. So you can't just look at the alignments and be like, oh my gosh, gloom and doom, this is going to mean this and that. Maybe a little, maybe not. It's going to be a little different. But what I will say is one of the key things that everybody's got to be prepared for is how to calm down their nervous system, right?
Mhm.
So whether it's, taking more Epsom salt baths, using great crystals like shungite, or grounding and earthing more in nature, connecting to Gaia, Mother Earth, and the trees, right?
Mhm.
Having different things to help you get proper sleep, right? Sleeping between 10 and 6 in the morning. Most of the healing, right? My Knowledge is
Mhm.
Love podcast, Joseph Octaviani was sharing with us most of the healing in your organs and your body happens between 10 and 2 a.m. Each
Mm.
time period connects to an organ in your body. So you've got to do things to help your nervous system, right? I have a whole thing in my transformational astrological life transformational program to help you with sleeping, to help you. And
Mhm.
this is what will help you with your nervous system come July. So this is really important. And so I want people to breathe, exhale, fear nothing, but to know that you are really not a victim. There is so much knowledge and tools out there. If you're willing to keep an open mind and integrate it into your everyday life and practice and increase your spiritual discipline, that is
Mhm.
what's going to help you at this time. With Pluto and Aquarius, the Pisces North Node and Virgo South Node, you've got to focus on your health right now. That's what the
Mhm.
universal planetary alignments are screaming to us. And I mean,
Mhm.
screaming. Take care of your nutrition and gut health, mental,
Mhm.
spiritual health. And that's going to
You
be the
heard them, guys.
tools. Okay.
Health. Health is wealth. Health is
Amen.
wealth.
Yes.
If
Ashe,
you if
ashe.
you
Yeah.
Yep. If you take care of your health, then you don't have to worry about the doctor's visits and all this other kind of stuff and eating, you got to eat right and they say food is medicine. So just like, you feed your body good food, you have to also feed your brain good food like we were talking about what you watch and what you ingest. So all of that stuff is important and all of that really 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 does it does have it takes a hold, so you gotta, especially right now, especially with all the stuff going on, after 2020, coming out of that era with the jab and all that kind of stuff. It's no time like the present to get your health under control. So
Well, yes,
definitely,
because
definitely,
also
definitely.
you have to really be aware and understand that there are some people in power that have, ideologies and thoughts and beliefs that are more nefarious. That,
Yes.
so we could go through another sickness or illness or whatever. So
Or cycle of
I
yes,
tell people,
disease.
don't get ready, stay
Stay
ready.
ready. That's right.
Okay.
Stay ready.
And so
Right. When you stay
that's,
ready, you don't got to get ready.
you ain't got to get ready if you stay ready. And
And
so,
that's actually the name of my EP. It's called Be Ready.
I love it. Be ready. You got
Right.
listen,
When you be ready, you ain't got to get ready.
listen, lady, queen, and that's kind of my mantra in life. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
I'm I tell people like, you meet me in person, I am the realest, most regular dude. You'll be cracking up, having fun, and that's another
Yes.
thing too. You guys, you can reach out to my media page on bigeastrology.com or email me because I also do corporate stuff, helping, team building, right? Helping
Mhm.
staff work together better, looking at the Mercury and the Moon, right? Because
Mm.
astrology can be used in every aspect. I do business birth charts, right, for my clients and really help them boost up their business. And every aspect, you treat the business just like it's a person, and it's so beautiful. I've worked with some really big businesses and I've
Mhm.
helped people
Mhm.
revamp their business. You just have to know when you filed for your S Corp or LLC, or when the business was born in your heart, when you maybe had your first sale, or when you were like, I'm
Right.
starting my business today. You know what I mean? And then you give me
Yes.
that time and date, and then we can work on that. And it's a game changer. I love doing business birth charts because I love helping
So
people. Go ahead.
with the business birth chart, let me ask you, is it this so like with the regular birth chart, like our career, they say it's in the 10th house. Is that the similar same thing with business? Like how would you look at that?
It is way beyond that, right?
Yes.
So I
Okay.
look at
So
your
do
second
tell.
house of how you earn money in your speech. I look at your
Oh,
third house of sales, advertising, marketing, and social media. I look
yes.
at the fourth house of the emotion and like the mental home of the business. I look at the fifth house of speculative gains and the creativity and hobbies, right? The heart of the business. I look at the sixth house of the debt and divorce and conflicts, haters, work enemies and coworkers and bosses. I look at the seventh house of like maybe having a business partner or doing business with your spouse, or how you need to show up with the business in the marketplace. I look
Hmm.
at the eighth house of the transformation of the business and other people's resources. The ninth house, the publishing, the teaching aspect of the business. The 10th house, how you're leaving the legacy and how your business shows up in public image. The 11th house, how you need to show up on the internet and how you do nonprofit, philanthropic work and your social network and support system to the business. And the 12th house, how your business, how you build it, like kind of like in your bedroom, how you do import exports, how you can expand the business internationally. I mean, let me tell you, you do a business birth chart
You
with
get
me.
you get deep. You breaks it down.
I will blow your mind away. I've seen the eyes of people when I'm doing the reading, and
Hmm.
they're like, oh my God, thank you, Eric. I got to rewrite my mission statement. I got to this and that. I can show you where, if you don't have employees, where and what type of employees you should hire, right? I
Hmm.
can show you with the Chiron wound where the potential pitfalls in the business are. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
man,
it
listen,
goes deep.
I
I
love it.
love it. I love it. I think that's very, it's so useful. And it's very practical. Let me ask you, so, in light of you saying all that, how do
Yeah.
you think, and how do you look at this? People that may use astrology or, in my case, numerology, how do you empower people to use it as a guide as instead of using it as a crutch or using it as an excuse?
Oh gosh, yes. I don't like to hear people say, "Well, I said this, so I do that because I'm an Aries. I do this and that because I'm a Leo." And
Right.
no, 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 no.
Right, right, right.
Number one, we have to get out of the concept of just sun sign astrology. I
Hmm.
am not just a Virgo, right? I've got a Mercury, a Venus, a Mars, a Jupiter, a Pluto, all these planets. And
Hmm.
you are a montage, you are a collaboration, you are, a myriad of different energies. And
Right.
so I don't like to play that blame game. I only do this because I'm that. But yeah, I mean, can I be honest and tell you, like, hey, as a Virgo in my life, I have been overly nitpicky and self critical. But
Hmm.
Virgos, I tell people all the time, before I say anything bad about the next person, I've already verbally gone through it and destroyed
About
myself
yourself.
100 times. Okay.
Yes.
I mean, I'm ridiculous. When I was younger, Queen, I used to actually put myself on punishment as a Capricorn moon and as a Virgo sun. If I did
You
not,
really are a Virgo.
oh no, I'm
And
no
the
joke.
Capricorn, you really got a
Let me,
Virgo
wait, this
sun and
back you up,
Capricorn
right?
moon.
When I was an actor, right? I tell people acting, I was my own pimp and my own hoe, right? Nobody was going to give me
Yeah.
a television job. I had to get
Uh-huh.
myself on Oz and Sopranos. I had to get
Right.
myself on Law and Order and Third Watch and Welcome to New York, right? I
Right.
had to get myself on One Life to Live. Nobody was going to do it for me. I had to get the resumes. I had to go to the post office. I
Do
mean,
the
trust me, the
footwork
ladies at the
and
post office, they knew me to be like, "Hey, baby, what you sending out for now?" You know what I mean? I saw you on TV last night. You know what I mean? Like I had to make it happen,
yeah, you
right?
got to
And
put that
so
work in.
put in that work. And so
Yeah.
there are no excuses based on your planets. What you
Right.
want to do is, as I say in my program, right? You're with the planetary energies, you're putting on these new clothes so then you could live in the flow and be that Jed and be that Jedi, right? So you know with your Mercury, right, how you dispense language, how you analyze and assess. You know with your
Mhm.
Venus, how you relate to other people and how you can, do your fashion and make money. Your Mars, your willpower and drive, how you go attack life, right? Go get that big piece of chicken, right? You know how, each planet is telling you how you maneuver. And then with the house and sign, it's all, and these aspects are telling a story that when you really get it, everything slows down and you see things coming. You see, oh my goodness, like with my kids, oh my gosh. Now, sometimes I'll be honest, I'm so focused on my business or whatever, I'll forget to tell my wife and kids like, oh, this isn't a good day for that. But like for this year, Thanksgiving and Christmas, the moon was in Scorpio. I told them leading up to it, I said, listen, the emotions are going to be hot. We're not going to have no fights and arguments Christmas and Thanksgiving. And we started Thanksgiving morning, it started to get hot up in here. Got to pick up the clothes off the floor. You got to vacuum. I did this. Emotions. And I said, stop. Daddy told you the moon is in Scorpio. We don't need to yell. We need to tone it down, right? We need to breathe. And we need to just say what we're feeling without yelling and screaming.
Right.
And after that little hiccup, the rest of Thanksgiving went well. But before Daddy reminded everybody, it was hot in here. It was hot in here. And the tail of twins were Scorpio, so it was hot. It was hot. So, but this is the thing. Like, I always live by the mantra, honestly, when you know better, you do better.
You do better.
And so I'm becoming a better parent every day of my life. And I encourage you guys out there, get birth chart readings for your children. Oh my goodness, it'll make you such a better parent. I have learned so much by learning my children's birth charts. And even when I had, and I hope you saw it, but a lot of people watched it, but if not, go back to my channel. I did it for Black History Month. It was amazing. I interviewed my 4 sons, and it was such an honor and a pleasure and so humbling. But I learned so much from them and who they are. And it was just like taking a snapshot, so they could watch it in the future. And even for me, right? My oldest son at 25, my firstborn at 15, my twins at 11, and being able to do that. But, we choose our parents, and our children are our teachers, and we are their guides. So I learn from my boys, every day. You know what I mean? Because listen, I'm human. I lose my patience. I'll say something that's not nice. But you know what Alana do? And I've learned this more from Alana. She's really taught me, and that's so true. Let me tell you, that Pisces love is so deep. And Pisces, you guys, it holds the wisdom and knowledge of all 12 signs. That's why Pisces are so, like, they are the old grandma and grandpa.
And they're very intuitive people.
Oh my gosh.
Very
and so I've learned, when I say something that's not nice, or I'm a little wrong or off on something, I will go back to my kids and I will say, Daddy, sorry. I didn't mean to say that. I was wrong. You know what I mean? And that counts. That means so much to them. You know what I mean?
You know what? I think people forget that kids are people too. Just because they're kids, they have feelings. They're humans.
You're right.
And I think we just want to kind of, sometimes you want to yell at the kids, or, people want to discipline them to a point, but you have to understand that they are also people too. And we have to respect their feelings and their emotions. And we have to take that in consideration when we're dealing with them and talking to them. Because, like you said, as their guide, some things that we say to them could make or break them.
Yeah. Because I can remember, right, at 54, I can still remember harsh words from teachers, from friends, from my mom, my aunt, my uncle. I remember them like to this day, like they were just whispered in my ear 2 seconds ago.
Yep, and you remember the negative and the harsh things more than you remember positive words and things.
Yes.
It resonates with you more.
I know.
Yep. So let me ask you, Eric, about coffee talk real quick. Let's talk about your coffee talk sessions. Tell me how you came up with the coffee talk sessions, and then talk about the significance that you do with the blind chart analysis, and how does that foster a supportive learning environment for your tribe?
Oh, thank you. It's so amazing. So I started it. I am on my 3rd year. I've had, and I was just doing one. It was like a 2-hour session. And then I started to do 2 over a year ago, a mini coffee talk, which is about 65, 70 minutes. And, my 2-hour one, I keep it cheap and affordable because I want people to come and learn, but also have a space safe space to nerd out about esoteric and occult
Yes.
knowledge and to share who they are and to feel like they're not alone. Because sometimes, you may be the rebel and black sheep of your family where nobody in your family likes astrology or numerology and you ain't got nobody to talk to. Well, I wanted to create my 11th house crew, Astrological Coffee Talk. I'm a New Yorker, Coffee Talk with Eric. And it's just as much
I
for
love it.
me, right, as it is. Yeah, there you go. Just as much for me as it is for them, because sometimes I feel alone, Queen. You know what I mean? And so for me to
Yes.
geek out and be able to talk about astrology with people who care about it and love it and want to know, woo, that just it makes me just like go crazy. I love it. And so
Yes.
that was my intention. So my 2-hour session is $22 and my mini coffee talk is only $13. So it's very affordable. And I
Very
do it twice a
affordable.
month. There have been times where I've, done extra and done a third or a fourth. And for my premium tribe members who pay $18 a month, they save $17 just from the coffee talks. So that's a huge deal right there. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And that's eventually going to go up. But I want to start off low to get people in the tribe, but they get the coffee talks, and what's so great, some people, they live in Australia, they live in Poland, they live in Amsterdam. I've had people all over the world and they can't always make it live. So you can pay. You'll, get the recording, the videos, the chart, everything we share and teach there. And then I just email it to you and it's in your inbox and it's great. But Coffee Talk, I like to teach on astrological placements, transits. Like, for example, in August, I'll be teaching about the eclipses that are coming up the end of August and the lunar Pisces eclipse, and then early September, the Virgo solar eclipse. Very important energy. So like I'll prepare people for that in August so they're prepared for it to really understand these energies. Eclipses are huge. In July, I'll be teaching about the Mercury retrograde on July 18th, until August
Great.
10th. You know what I mean? So I like to prepare people, but I also came up with this concept of, and it's so powerful, right? Doing a blind astrology reading of a Coffee Talk member's birth chart where they volunteer their chart. I'm the only one that knows who it is. I don't reveal who it is. We interpret the chart, but we do it as a group because I'm also trying to teach astrology. I want people to learn, and I don't want people to feel shy about interpreting or asking questions. I'm like, there's no dumb questions. Eric,
Right.
what does this mean about the moon in the second house? Oh, great question. And I'll, talk about it and share with people. So, hey, we had a tribe member here tonight that we did a blind reading of her chart just a few months ago, Quintella. And it was so beautiful because we read it, but then towards the end, I reveal who it is. And then they let us know how we did reading their chart. And then we can
Wow.
ask them live questions and they answer it. That's how you learn astrology, not just from a textbook, right? You have to
Right.
know what it means to have a, Pisces moon in the third house or Pisces moon in the 8th or 10th house. But,
Right.
what does that mean in a person's life?
Yeah.
So Quintella was brave and share enough. And hey, let's be honest, it's also like getting a free, $22
Free
tournament.
reading. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's also beneficial
Yeah.
for them too. But you're not just getting my eyes and my heart and my brain. You're getting all the Coffee Talk members. And some of my Coffee Talk members, they know astrology, they know numerology, they know tarot, gematria. So, these are smart people.
Yes.
I don't hang around with no dodos. You know what I mean? So my people, they come, and you know what I mean? But they
Yes.
are kind-hearted too. So it's very powerful. I mean, we've had some Coffee Talks, blind readings, where there's been some tears shed. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like it's beautiful. It's really deep. So we do reveal and then they share and then we just learn. And it's amazing. But also I'll go back to this. My morals and ethics as an astrologer. I don't judge other astrologers. A lot of people do it. They get a lot of views and clicks for it. But I will never read a person's birth chart in public, famous person, politician, celebrity, right? During the election, I did Harris and Trump's chart, right? But I can only do that at Coffee Talk in private. I
Yeah.
won't do that on my YouTube channel for public. If you look at my playlist, I have a celebrity birth chart playlist, and I've done Marvin Gaye, Richard Pryor, Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, different people, because they've passed on. If someone is alive
Correct.
and
Yes.
living, I don't feel that I have the right to do their chart without permission. This is ancient sacred knowledge. I don't want that karma on me. I'm a
Right.
father with sons and I got a wife. I don't play. This is not a
Right.
name astrology. This is very sacred wisdom and knowledge. So you will
Mhm.
never see me do a celebrity or famous person's chart in public without their permission.
Mhm.
That's just my morals and my ethics. So, but at Coffee Talk, oh my God, we've done so many charts and I remember one time we did Justin Bieber and Michael Jordan and this one. Soon I'm gonna wind
Mhm.
up doing Kobe Bryant's chart. I may do that in September. He was a Virgo, or Dave Chappelle. I haven't done their charts yet. I've done Kendrick
Mhm.
Lamar, so there's and even on my course, I will teach, and have done charts like Malcolm X, JFK, RFK, Martin
Mhm.
Luther King, Muhammad Ali, Ronald Reagan, because they're great teaching tools,
Right.
not to say that we really know these people, but guess
Right.
what? They can't hide. You know them when
They
we do
can't
the
hide because they're in the public
yeah,
eye. So
that's
you
right.
get to see the experiences. You might not know all the personal experiences that they
Yeah.
might go through, but you get to see
But it's a
the
great
uh,
teaching tool. I did
yeah.
Beyonce, I did Diddy. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
you really can see the
Right.
Jaguar, right? In the chart, you can see everything and it's deep.
Mhm.
So I just love Coffee Talk. It's such a sacred space.
Mhm.
It's very, private and intimate, and it's growing. A lot of people come from all over the world, and some people come
Mhm.
and then they, take a break and then they come back again, and people are
Right.
welcome, and it's just an honor and a pleasure.
That's beautiful. Such a beautiful space. Another beautiful space that you provide to your lovely
You
tribe.
know, listen,
So
I like to create, but it's so funny. I tell people it's for them, but it's for me too because I
right.
like to share and learn, and I've learned so much. My Coffee Talk family, there's the tribe, the podcast, it's all I think in the movie Field of Dreams. If you build it,
Mm.
they will come.
Yes,
And
if you build it,
because
they
I
will
built
come.
it from my heart and my soul, and that's a song off my first album, Hip Hop Forever, Heart and Soul, right? I was like,
Mhm.
I got a hip hop heart and a hip hop soul. Hip hop will always take control. Kick it for the kids and the brothers doing bids. Cause hip hop is where I live. Cause hip
Oh, that's
hop is where
nice.
I live. Yeah.
Yeah. I like
So
that.
yeah, thank you. So, and that's what it's all about. Everything is from my heart and my soul,
Mhm.
you know.
And that's why you get the good grade of people that you have surrounding you in your community, because you're resonating on that frequency, so you're attracting those type of people. So I think that's beautiful, and it's a great example just to even show people on the outside, listen, you attract what you are. So you have to become that vibration of the thing that you want to attract if you want to attract that thing. So I think you're doing a great job of showing people that. So we just have a few more questions, Big E.
Okay.
Let me ask you, in your experience, what are some of the biggest misconceptions that people have about astrology?
Um, I think the misnomer, the biggest one is because of the pop astrology. Like I was telling you about those books. I mean, the horoscopes in the newspaper. This
Hmm.
is the game. People are like, "Oh, I read it. It doesn't resonate with me. They said I was this and that. That's not me." It's
Hmm.
because they never told us when you're going to read that monthly horoscope, it's not based on your sun sign in the newspapers or the magazines. It's based on your rising sign ascendant.
Hmm.
So right there will throw everything off unless you are like a Leo sun and Leo rising. If not, I'm a Virgo sun. But if I'm sitting there reading Virgo, right, I'll be like, no, that don't sound like me. That don't resonate. Because I'm a Scorpio rising. I should have been reading Scorpio. So that's number one, right? And number two is that everybody's like, oh, relationships, right? Because let's be honest, most people want to know about their love life and their money and their career, right? And
Yeah.
so when you're kind of basing everything like, oh, I'm a Virgo, I should be with the Taurus, Capricorn, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. No, 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 no. When I'm doing a synastry compatibility chart, right? I the sun is one of the last things I look at. I'm
That you
looking
look
at
at.
your Venus,
Hmm.
your Jupiter, your
Hmm.
asteroid for marriage, Juno, right? I'm looking at your fifth house, your seventh house. I'm looking at your
Hmm.
moon and your Mercury. Sun and Mars, that's like sixth, seventh, or eighth thing that I'll look at. It's not
Hmm.
that important, your sun sign. So that
Hmm.
means that an Aries can be with a Scorpio, a Virgo
Right.
can be with Aquarius. It doesn't matter what your sun
Yeah.
sign is. Any two people can work together. You need
Correct.
to look at the whole chart. So I really want people to really understand that and not make excuses for bad behavior. But this
Yes.
is legit. Every sign has a high vibration and a low vibration. So a low vibrational Virgo can be very critical of others, can be overly nitpicky, can be the insane perfectionist, right? Could be like very picky and detailed, like, no, it's got to be like this, got to be, persnickety, so like
Yeah.
all that stuff. But the high vibrational Virgo is truly of service to the collective and
Yes.
humanity, and wants to repair or fix and make things better.
And wants to help, is a true
Yeah,
helper,
right?
nature's
And you, the
helper.
Leo, a high
Yes.
vibrational Leo is generous and warm and loving and shares the
Mhm.
spotlight and is
Mhm.
heart-filled and dynamic and expressive and creative. The low vibrational Leo, and unfortunately, Big E has dated a few of those. Whew, they are they are stubborn, they are arrogant, they are
Mhm.
selfish. They are
Mhm.
like, I mean,
Self-absorbed.
they can turn off that
Yeah.
warm-hearted light and be cold and mean.
Cold.
I mean,
Mhm.
when a Leo gets
Listen, they said when you, cross a Leo, you'll never see the same Leo again. They
oh
might
my
forgive you, but baby, that's always in the
God.
back of their mind.
Young
We ain't
Eric and
forgetting.
young
We
Big
ain't
E
forgetting.
went through that, and I went through it the hard way. Had my heart broken, okay?
Oh,
But this is for every sign. So I just want people
yes.
to really get that, right? And so that's what I try to teach in my channel. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And also, this is a big one. There's no fear and doom and gloom. Oh my God, I've got Mars in Cancer. My life is terrible. Oh, my moon's in Scorpio. Oh, I'm this. No, no, no. Just because you have placements that are debilitated or in their planetary fall, it's not a
Mhm.
death sentence. It's a challenge, and you need to learn and understand how to work with that energy. For example, Venus is at home in Taurus and Libra. It's
Mhm.
exalted in Pisces. So if you have Venus in Scorpio, like I do, or if you have it in Virgo, it's not a death sentence. You
Mhm.
just have to learn how to work with that energy. If your Venus is in Virgo, you can become the best gift giver ever. Your love language is about being of service to your partner, right? Knowing
Mhm.
how they like their tea and their coffee. How do they like their eggs made, right? How
Right.
do they like their burger, medium or well done, or you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
think of it like that. Venus and Scorpio. Now I laugh, Queen, because with Venus and Scorpio, the love language could be a little intense. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I was scaring away my girlfriends when I was younger because my Venus and Virgo, my Venus and Scorpio, I was kind of intense when it came to my love
Yeah.
relationships. So now I can laugh at myself and be like, "Ooh, Eric, you were too much." But but how do I work with it? My Venus in Scorpio, because what people don't know about Venus, it's not just your love language, relationships, food, fashion, and vehicles.
Mhm.
Venus is also your devotion. It's also
Mhm.
the sperm, it's the seed of life. So
Mhm.
Venus, Scorpio, I'm devoted to the truth. I'm devoted to energy, frequency, vibration. I'm devoted to occult knowledge. So I've learned to turn that Venus Scorpio into, that's one of my favorite placements that I have now.
Yes.
And it also makes me what? Very loyal, right? Venus
Yes.
Scorpio, is very loyal. And I like the purity in my wife. Venus Scorpio, we're attracted to that pure, you know what I mean? And so I just encourage people, hey, there's no placement that's terrible. Yes. Is it a little bit more muy difficile in terms of how you have to
Yeah.
work with
A little
energy? Yes,
challenging.
it can
Yeah.
be
A little
challenging.
challenge.
But I can help teach you that you can turn a challenge or a negative placement into your superpower.
Correct. And that's the beauty of this. You teach people that, and that's the same thing we do in numerology.
Yeah.
We look at your weaknesses, we look at all these things, and then we show you it's really I call them growth opportunity zones. You know,
Yes.
they're zones and for opportunities for you to grow. And that's all to me, that's all what a challenge is. It's time for you to grow. And are you going to
So
grow from
true.
that and gain the lessons from that and move forward, or are you going to let it cripple you? So that's the choice that we all have to make when we're approaching these situations.
Definitely. It is so true. But I can tell you there's certain aspects that are challenging, right? I mean,
Hmm.
I don't want to get into everything personal in my chart, but I have this one square. Square is like a challenging aspect. It's a 90-degree
Hmm.
angle. Let's say from
Hmm.
your first house to your fourth house. That's a square,
Hmm.
90 degrees. And it can bring opportunities for growth, but it can bring some vitriol, some frustration, some anger, some pain, some real challenges. And I've seen one of the squares in my chart, it's brought challenges in my life, whether it's health or different things that are not always so fun and comfortable, but
Right.
so I've had to like learn how to work with it, integrate it, and be like, how can I grow from this? So I'm
Mhm.
now learning in this next stage of life how to work with this square of two planets, right? How they
Mhm.
communicate to each other. That's what aspects are in astrology. You've got
Mhm.
conjunctions, sextiles,
Mhm.
trines, squares, oppositions, and quincunx, which is also known as an in conjunction. That's like 150-degree angle. You know what I mean? So when
Mhm.
you learn how to work with this stuff, oh man, it makes everything
Life changing.
mo better, baby.
It
Remember that
really is
movie?
life
Did you
changing.
like that movie? Do you remember that movie, Mo Better
I do
Blues?
remember that, of
I
course, of course.
love that movie.
That's
It's
a
so
classic.
underrated. One of Spike Lee's best, with
Yes,
Denzel and Wesley Snipes. That was an underrated, great movie.
very underrated movie.
Mo Better, baby.
So so let me ask you, Big E, what advice now would you give to someone who's just starting to explore astrology and they're
Hmm.
interested in working with maybe someone like yourself, an intuitive astrologer? Like, what advice do you give to the beginner?
I would say, reach out, ask questions, but just start off with booking a natal birth chart reading.
Mhm.
Because when you start there, then you're kind of learning like, okay, I'm born. The sun is me and my personality, but it also represents my father. The moon is
Mhm.
my inner self, my body, health, and intuition, but represents my mother. And then you start to get a snapshot of like who these people were and are in my life, if they're living or passed on, that made me, and how was their relationship when they made me. Because when I see the
Mhm.
aspects to the sun and moon, like my
Mhm.
sun and moon are both earth signs, so they're in a trine. So that tells me when I was born, my mom and dad were in perfect harmony and they wanted me with their heart's desires.
That's
Now,
beautiful.
some people, their sun and moon are in a square. That's not
Mhm.
terrible, but it does mean that when your mom and dad had you, there was some indifference. There were some real challenges.
Mhm.
Sometimes that means mom and dad may get divorced. In some cases, like my wife, they did, right? For her
Mhm.
parents. But sometimes people have a sun moon square, right? It could be like Gemini Virgo, and their parents are still together and they worked it out. So,
Mhm.
but it's giving you a deeper understanding to the origins of your birth, to your childhood experiences, which you see in the
Mhm.
first five houses.
Mhm.
Then to go around sixth, seventh, eighth house, you're starting to see like you in relation to other people and work.
Mhm.
Ninth and 10th house, you're starting to get into like your education on a deeper level, your philosophies in life, what, you're
Mhm.
teaching, career. 11th house, your,
Mhm.
how you gain
Community.
wealth and hopes, dreams, and wishes. In the
Mhm.
12th house, your spiritual life. So like when you get a birth chart reading, it is so, especially from me, so thorough that it is
And
like
dynamic. I know it's
it
dynamic.
is such a full spiritual meal. And then
Mm.
from there, then you could start because there's so much. Like if you explore my website, bigeastrology.com, I have
Mhm.
chart readings, like I mentioned, that unconscious soul chart. That's powerful. I've got
Mhm.
chart readings for love and relationships, just the love chart, or if you have a partner already, or someone you're interested in getting with, a synergy compatibility. I've got
Mhm.
business, career charts. I've got charts that explore the origins of your soul's path and destiny, looking at your north and south node, your Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, just honing in on just those energies, not the whole chart, because then it gets deeper. When you can just
Mhm.
focus on certain planets, it's a more thorough, in the chart reading, I'm doing everything. But like if you book, certain chart services that I have, right, that are mapping your soul's path and journey, it's just focused on like these five placements. Um,
Mhm.
it's the same thing. Listen, I have people that they deal with a lot of jealousy, envy, and hate. I've got a hater chart because I can see in the chart what,
I might need to get that hater chart reading.
yeah. Oh, I can see it so clearly. Oh, Queen. It's really helped so many of my clients, but I can see so clearly where you're dealing with hate at work, where you may have
Yes.
hidden enemies, where you could have fake friends, or even issues with your siblings. I
Yes.
see it in the chart. So, that's where I want you to start with the natal chart. But even through that, you've got, like I said, honest, and this is not just for business for me, but this is really food for your soul. Every year, you should do a solar return chart
Hmm.
because the moon and the rising sign may be different. Like for example, this year, like if you're born August 1st, your solar return may be on July 31st because it's
Hmm.
based on where the degree is, right? Let's say if you're you know August 1st, you may be like a 6 degrees Leo. Well, this year 6 degrees Leo may be July 31st, not August 1st.
Mm.
And so we have to get to the degree and then the minutes. So it'd be like, 6 degrees, 27 minutes. And that calculation may, let's say you could be natally a Pisces moon. This year, life, you may be a Capricorn moon and you could be a Gemini rising. And this year, you may be like a Taurus Aries rising. So it's very
Mm.
specific. And then literally, and this is important for the audience to know, in the solar return, I see how this year of life will literally play out for you. And
Mm.
so that means from pitfalls to sudden events to love, relationships, money. And I remember one year I did a reading like this, solar return chart for my cousin. And I saw some
Hmm.
things. I said, hey, cuz, you got to go to the doctor and check some things out. Thank
Wow.
God she did it and I did, because it turns out, she had a tumor. Thankfully, it was benign,
Mm.
but she had a
Mm.
tumor, turned out to be okay. But just that little insight, because of my
Yes.
knowledge of medical astrology, I saw that in the chart. That's how
That's
powerful this stuff
amazing.
is. Yeah.
Yes.
So, and then
You got.
secondary progression chart, right? So, for
Hmm.
example, you're a Leo, but right, your soul may be vibrating now where you are actually vibrating as a Libra. So you may start to feel a
Mm.
little differently how your soul is dancing on the planet. And in a
Yeah.
secondary progression chart, the moon returns back to your natal moon, right, which is for you, Leo, every 27 years. So at like
Mm.
627, the moon will be back in Leo. So you'll be like, I'm feeling like me again, right? At 50,
Wow.
53, 54, the moon will be back in Leo again. So you'll be like, I'm feeling like me. But those other years, you'd be like, whoa, I got a Gemini moon for these 2.5 years? Because it's in the progress chart, it's every 2.5 years the moon switches. So
Gee, two and
that's
a
really
half.
that's
Yeah.
really powerful for you to know, because that
Yes.
2 year cycle of life, oh, you're gonna be dancing so differently.
Mm.
Yeah.
This is so interesting, Big E. I mean, it sounds like there's so many different, nuances and cycles. Just like numerology, we have so
Oh
many
yeah.
cycles, so many different things and aspects that we can look at.
And you
And,
blow my mind when you say that stuff and break it down, because just like how I know the astrology, that's how you know the numerology. And I
yeah,
like to be the student, because, like, when you talk about numerology, I'm like, what? What? Oh my God, I can't get that. But tell me more. Like, I love it, like a kid in a candy store, because there's new
yes.
information for me and new knowledge.
And I think that's cool too, because then, like, the more that you learn about the different sciences and divinations, the more that you can incorporate those things into your intuitive practice. You can pick up
Oh,
things
yeah.
along the way and, use them in your toolbox to be able to help your
Yeah.
clients better.
I do it, and that's what I do because
Yeah.
I know a little bit to be dangerous about the human design and the numerology, but I know enough to be able to guide and help people on a basic level. And when you can integrate that with the astrology and just other spiritual things, yeah, it's really great. So I I just love it all, my friend.
I love it too, and I love you. Let me ask you this because we have a question in the audience. This is
Oh
one of
yes,
your tribe members. Gigi, the Empress, wants to know.
hey Chi.
Um, I'm taking this one step at a time. What does it mean when the sun in Libra is in conjunct with Taurus moon? Now, before Big E answers this as an astrologer, I think this might be pretty good because Libra and Taurus are both ruled by the number 6. They're both ruled by Venus. So go ahead, Big E. What would you tell her about this energy?
Well, see that quincunx in conjunction energy, right? Right. So think of
Hmm.
it like Taurus, right? The opposite is Scorpio. So remember I said
Hmm.
150 degrees? So Libra
Yes.
is one notch down. So in conjunctions, it's the planets, they're not directly looking at each other. And
Mm-hmm.
so even though they're both shared with Venus, what happens? Taurus is a fixed earth sign ruled by Venus. Very
Yes.
different energy. Out of the fixed
Yes.
sign, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius, Taurus is the most stubborn. They're
Mm.
very grounded and practical, right? They're
Yes.
all into their senses, but bringing things into fruition in the physical reality, right? Practical, money, savings, the bank, the throat chakra. Libra is the cardinal, which is initiating. Fixed is very
Mm-hmm.
stubborn and stuck, right? It's the
Right.
middle of spring.
Mm-hmm.
Libra initiates what? The autumn, the fall equinox. Libra is
Mm-hmm.
a cardinal air sign ruled by Venus. Venus is all about, in Libras, they're great listeners. It's about relationships, right? It's about event planning. It's about aesthetics and making things beautiful, right?
Mm-hmm.
Libras and Taurus, they don't come at things the same way. It's a very
Right.
different relationship. So that
Mm-hmm.
in conjunction can be very challenging, right? They may have the same desires of, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
a relationship or making money, but they're going to come at it in such different ways that sometimes they're going to have to walk away from each other or agree to disagree. And so, when you're dealing with, because Libras, right, it can be a little bit more timid or passive aggressive. Libras
Mm-hmm.
are like, you say to a Libra, hey, you want to hang out Saturday at 3? Well, they got to check in their Rolodex because they may have 7 different people to hang out with, right? They've got to
Mm-hmm.
see. Libra does like a cost analysis, or they do an assessment. Well, I may have more fun with this one. I'll do this with that
Right.
one.
They're doing that balance.
Yeah, Libra is like, does this person bring me more harmony and peace? Do I feel that, you know what I mean? Like Libra, I hate to say it's transactional, but remember,
Mm-hmm.
Libra is the number one wealthiest sign in astrology. And Libra
Oh
can
wow.
feel sometimes very transactional because
Mm-hmm.
Libra is like, okay, so this is another thing. It's a masculine air
Yeah.
sign, right?
Mm-hmm.
Taurus
Mm-hmm.
is a feminine. So Libra is more initiating, outgoing, action orientated. Taurus, right? Tauruses, they like to be private and alone sometimes, right? Don't start none, won't be none. They're more
Right.
introspective, feminine, they're receiving. Taurus wants
Mm-hmm.
to receive that sensual massage. Libra
Right.
is like, I want to go out dancing to the club, right?
Right.
I want to throw the big party, the event. But Libras are great listeners, great lawyers, great fashion designers, actors, actresses, models, do well in
Mm-hmm.
health. Taurus, they're more about the food, the fashion,
Mm-hmm.
the chef, arts, culture, entertainment. They both care
Mm-hmm.
about the aesthetics, but Taurus, it's like the values and self-worth. Libra,
Mm-hmm.
it's more like what brings me peace and harmony, what's beautiful,
In
what's
harmony.
pretty. So it's similar language, but it's very different energies.
Different
So
energies. Yeah.
yeah, they can really bang heads and have challenges. So you
Mm.
just got to learn to work with it. And like I said, I think any two signs or aspects can work together, but it's about meeting each other and being willing to say, okay, you like it this way, I like it that way, but how can we do this together in the middle? And that's
Correct.
what astrology and planets and and aspects is all about. How can we
Mhm.
learn and how can we agree to agree? And then where we agree to disagree doesn't mean we have to hate each other.
Right. You just got to learn to walk away sometimes.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can come back together once things have simmered down.
Yep. So
Yeah.
I hope that
Yeah.
answers Gigi's question.
It does. I think it answers her question. It definitely answers mine. We've been on for 2 hours, so it's really been a pleasure, Eric.
Oh, it's been
The
my pleasure.
audience,
Thank
the audience is still they're like raring to go. They're in the
Well, I
audience
feel, wait,
saying,
I will say this. I'm
mhm,
willing to stay if they have more questions because, I
I
don't
was
like to
looking for
leave the
some.
audience ever hanging.
So do you guys have any questions in the audience? Let's go through. Let's see. I think Steven said something. Let me see what he says here. He says Sagittarius rising and Mercury in the third house loves metaphysical sciences too.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
and I care about the people because the NBA draft is on the second round, and I still want to catch some of that. I joke all the time, but everybody knows on my podcast I am half Cro-Magnon man. I still love my sports.
So it's so funny. Let me ask you about that before we dip out of
Okay.
here anyway. Cuz me and see, I think this is, we have a lot of things in common.
We
Um
do.
We do. I mean, I think it's, it's a testament to our life path number. Even our numerical energy. I mean, you're a number one person, I'm a number two person. So that's sun and moon dynamics.
Yep.
Two is just the introversion of the one. It's just like the gentle romantic, it's the receptive side of the one. It's all the same type of things that the one has. We're just more physical, we're just more receptive with it.
Yeah.
So you're into sports. I love sports. So just like how first of all, do you do anything with the sports with astrology? Do you ever do that? And then like how do you just how do you continue to incorporate that in your practice? I mean, what do you do with that? Because you do sports media radio, you're a hip hop artist, you're an like you do all these things. How do you keep all that together? And do you do any sports astrology?
So it's something that I want to venture into a lot more. I mean, my pinky in the brain mind in terms of taking over the world. I would love to be like an assistant GM to an NFL or NBA team and help
Me
them with
too.
drafting players
Secretly.
and doing trading and free agent
Yes.
signing. Because in the birth chart, I can see your athletic ability, I can see your skills, I can see your health. So I could advise on how, and with my sports knowledge, like, oh my God, I would destroy it
The
because
sports knowledge with the astrology knowledge and then having a
yes,
chart. I mean,
because
gosh, you would
Mars Mars is where your athletic ability is. It's your willpower, your drive, that aggression, right? The
Mhm,
Jupiter, because it rules the hips and thighs, Jupiter can show like taking flight and you're jumping and like your hip and thigh strength, right? The
mhm,
Mercury would be like how you would analyze and assess. I would look at the moon and see like the health and the body of the person. And it's someone like an intuitive athlete. You know what I
mhm,
mean? And so there's, I could see certain placements with the Venus where they may just be like in it for the money and not for like the passion of the career. So yeah, I'd like to break down athletes' charts. I told you I did Muhammad Ali and I've done Jordan and different
mhm,
athletes. But in terms of like working with like a parent and they have a young athlete, I could see how they would do in sports. I even see it in my own children's charts. You know what I mean? My
mhm,
16-year-old is a football player, and I see how he does well with certain things in the football because he has the Venus and Mars and Aries. You know what I mean? So
mhm.
like I'm very precise with that. And then it is on a whole nother level because I will guarantee, even though I've seen some people out there, yeah, there's not going to be too many astrologers that know sports like me. I mean, when I tell
Right.
you I'm a sports nut, now,
Mhm,
not only did I've done 3 different sports radio shows in my time,
mhm,
but I was that kid that was the sports whiz. When my mom would have house parties, adults would come to me. I was that little nerdy kid that I knew the stats of
right.
every baseball, football, and basketball player, college
Mhm.
football and basketball. I knew the
That
stats of
makes
every
sense.
player. Yeah, and the kid, and oh yeah, my Virgo, whew, my God, I was, and I still know it, not to the degree, because I'm focused on the
Mhm,
astrology, but I know sports and I know athletics, and I played, even though with my vision, I had to retire from each sport, and then I became a track star, right?
mhm.
400, 800, triple jump, long jump. But you know what I mean? I know sports, but I know through the chart how to see athletic ability and your skills
Right.
and self effort. So yeah, it's something that and I'm going to be doing more celebrity charts. Oh, I did OJ's chart, OJ Simpson's chart,
Oh,
Muhammad
cool.
Ali. I've done at Coffee Talk. It's fascinating.
Yes.
So, that's something that I'm going to explore more. And soon, when I have more time, I'm going to get back to my celebrity birth chart. And somebody like Kobe Bryant is a chart I'll do since he's, passed
Mhm.
on for the public. So you could
Right.
see all the things in his chart. Muhammad Ali's chart was fascinating. People
Mhm,
like that, even someone like Bill Russell, legends like that have
mhm.
passed on. Those are things that I would do in the public sphere.
Right,
But
right,
someone
right.
like LeBron or Michael, I can only
You would
do
do in
that
the coffee talk.
private at Coffee Talk. Yeah.
Correct, correct. I got you, got you. So that's amazing. I love it. I love sports, and I've done some of the Super Bowl predictions.
Oh, you're so good. And tell them, you guys, you have to come to the Knowledge is Love, Big E Astrology, because Queen Bee will be on and we're going to do a Super Bowl, an NFL season preview show, right?
Yes.
And we're going to
Yes.
look at more of the numerology and the astrology. We'll do a little astrology, but I'm going to
Yeah.
be, bringing up all the sports, and she's going to hit you with the numerology and talk about the 2025 NFL season. So look for that right around after Labor Day weekend. I can't
Yeah,
wait.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
That's going to be fun.
I actually need to start working on that
Oh no, I'm gonna
presentation.
feed you all the information you need to
Good.
gather and all that stuff. Because I was
Good.
thinking about the other day. I said, "Oh, I got to prepare the queen," but I wanted
Yes.
everything to kind of they don't start training camp until early August. So I
Right.
wanted all the roster moves to settle, and then I can
Right.
assess
Before
where
we
we need to go and talk about the different players and teams, and it's going to be great. So,
Absolutely. It's going to be great. And I'm glad you just said that you're going to prep me up and give me a couple things because you know me, I'll do the whole thing and then I'll just, it'll take me forever. You know
but
me,
that's
it'll
what I
be,
love about
we'll be
you.
doing it next year.
You are so thorough, and you guys, that's why you guys got to book numerology readings with Queen, because I mean the way that oh man,
Oh,
you
thank
blow
you.
my mind. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're gifted, and I know that this is something you've been doing in past
Thank you.
lives. You know what I mean? Because you
Yeah,
are
I
truly,
feel it.
truly
Yeah.
a queen of numerology, my friend.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. No kinder words could have came from a better person. So I really appreciate that. I appreciate you for coming on Numbers Matter and making this an Astrology Matters episode. It's been a takeover, the convergence of the nine destiny life path convergence here, the knowledge is love tribe, converging with the universal supreme. So I'm so happy. I'm thankful for you, your beautiful family, your wife. I love her. She will be on Cultural Reflections. I think I'm going to have the Queen come on in August. That'll be a good year, a good month
Oh,
for
she
her.
would love
So
that.
I'm going to have her come on, and we're going to be talking about some Symbolic Pure and just everything business because I know she's a business guru. So I'm going to really pick her
Woo. Oh,
brain
let me tell
on
you,
all
she's
things.
got that Mars in Capricorn. She's about that business, and that's what she
Listen,
did in
yes,
college. She's very
I
creative
know.
and branding.
Listen, her energy already told me that she's a business guru. So
Yeah,
Um, I'm gonna have her on Cultural Reflections, guys. So make sure you're tuned in for that. And like Big E said, I'm gonna be back on his channel on the Knowledge is Love podcast, breaking down
September.
the 2025 football season.
A
And
9 month for
also,
the Life Path 9, a 9 month.
listen, we can't make this up. We couldn't make it up if we tried, right? So make sure you guys are following Big E everywhere. Everywhere he is at Big E Astrology. Just type that in and you will find him. Go to his website at www.bigeastrology.com to book a reading, natal chart reading with Big E. You can also book any of the other readings that he mentioned, the relationship coaching, the astrological life coaching. You can join the coffee talks. So
Yeah,
there's a lot of different things and a lot of different services that Big E offers.
thank
You
you.
guys can also make sure you join the Knowledge is Love Tribe community.
Come be a tribe
Very,
member. Oh, it's so
very
much. It's
affordable.
growing and so much fun.
And let me tell you guys, it's very affordable and you're gonna learn way more than what you're paying to be in that
But not
community.
just that, you
Yeah.
can share all that you are. That's what I want to
Yeah.
encourage people. Like, if you do business, if you do this, if you just, let's just say you like to, I don't know, maybe you like to make little dolls, or you crochet, anything creative. Like, we've got groups for you to share, to learn, to
Correct.
teach, whatever your passions are. And we're also willing to listen to our tribe members and be like, oh, for example, we're starting a new group. I think wifey may have already set it up or is about to, for plant medicine, because we have a
Oh,
tribe member who is got a plant medicine business and is an expert in it.
like a herbalist.
So
Yes, that's beautiful.
it's really about knowledge and
See?
information. So
It
this is
is.
really the group for anybody. So I encourage you. My only thing is, right, there's no haterade in the group. Differences of opinion. I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, black,
Yeah, we
white,
don't
green, yellow,
nobody even
man,
wants to
woman.
hear about that.
Yeah,
No peace.
we this is about love, but it's about really growing and learning and
That's right.
becoming the best version of yourself, and being a really good tribe member, and building a powerful community.
That's right. That's right. And you have done that, and we are doing that together. And
Yeah.
I can't thank you enough. I can't let you know enough how much I appreciate you,
Thank
how much you inspire me, you, your wife, the kids, everything you guys do all together collectively. It's just really a great inspiration. And you guys are really, you're being the change that you want to see in this world. And that's everything that I've ever built my platform on, being the change that you want to see. So that's what we got to do. So I'm very grateful to you. Any last words you want to say, Big E, before we get out of here?
Yeah, two things. I really do encourage people at this time to increase your spiritual practice. Do
Yes.
whatever you can. And sometimes that may just be turning off the cell phone, the television, getting in your prayer closet and being still and quiet so that you can just hear your heartbeat. But try to do something. I meditate, I tone, I ground in earth and nature, I pray, I do connect,
Yes.
and be kinder to yourself. As I always say, that's one of my Eisms, right? My greatest hope for you is to retire from negative self-talk. Hand in a pink slip today that is no longer your job. Be nice and kind to yourself, and just, really just, set that intention. Be intentional about the words that you say to yourself and to others. Really watch the negative thoughts, cut them off here. Don't let them get down the
Mhm.
escalator and be dispensed out of the boca. That's muy malo.
Mhm.
No talking bad about yourself. If you forgot something at the grocery store, of you ladies or men that are shopping, or you didn't pick this up for your kid, or the cleaners for your spouse, your husband, your wife, you're not dumb. You're not stupid. Sometimes we just say these little throwaway words about ourselves to
Right.
ourselves.
We don't even
Don't
realize we're doing it.
We don't even realize it. It's very unconscious. And that's part of our
Mhm.
subconscious programming. So don't do that. You're not dumb. You're not silly. You're not stupid. So what? You forgot something. But do you
Right.
know that maybe you're supposed to go back to that same store or supermarket later that night or the next day, and you may come across the path of someone and say a positive word that affects or changes their life, right? Don't be afraid to
Mhm.
look people in the face and eye and give them a compliment. Nice shirt, nice tie, nice dress, nice hair. Smile, look at people. But you may go back and something else may be on sale, or you may remember something else you were supposed to get that you forgot as well. So look at
Right.
it as things are happening for you, not
Mm.
to you,
And for your greater good.
and for your greater good.
Mhm.
And then for me, I just would like to, leave the people with, just a couple of, powerful, inspirational words that came from my first album, right? One of my songs called My Mission. And it was very prophetic because in the rhyme, I wrote about things that connect to astrology that I had no idea of, because I'm a
Mm.
Virgo sun sign. I didn't know I was a Capricorn moon ruled by Saturn. I didn't
Mm.
know I was a Pisces North Node, right? I didn't know I was a Scorpio rising, all this stuff. So I said, and it was me and three other MCs and this beautiful sister singing, Miss Kendra Jones. Produced by Rugged and Raw, and Rugged and Raw is on there, Panama Red, and one of my favorite female MCs. Oh, I got to let you hear her stuff. Her name is
Okay.
OD. She goes by Audrika. Sagittarius. She's a real beast of a
Oh,
lyricist.
I know she's a beast and she's a Sag, yeah.
Oh God. And I remember when she wrote the rhyme in the studio that day, went in the booth and just bodied it. I was like, oh God.
Mm.
So anyway, so I said, so it's called My Mission. So I said, so
Mhm.
what's my mission as I come to this planet? Move over Saturn because your rings can't stand it. I
Mm.
slammed it as my breath exhaled. I'm coming through the oceans like Orca the whale. 9 months in jail from the womb to the tomb. I was born in September, but I was ready in June and eager to patrol with my shining soul. I plan to be the glue to the globe and just reclaim the names for the brothers that have been framed and shamed in this dirty and righteous game. Never lame or tame, stay dry in the rain, go against the grain, and I could heal your pain. Between TV, film, and hip hop, the whole world will know my name. ERIC. Just need a wife or kids to continue my dynasty. The son of Kid Taylor, and that's a real legacy. I'm out.
All right, y'all. Y'all heard it.
That's
The
it.
man himself has spoken it. Look, listen, he manifested that beautiful wife and that family too, didn't he?
I surely did.
I
And I
love it.
used
I
to talk
want to
about having
say,
twins all the time.
see, you manifest your life, bro. You did it. I love it. I love you. I love Alana. I love the kids.
Thank you, my
Uh,
friend.
listen,
Ditto.
you already know we're family, so I'll be talking to you shortly. And I love you. Thank you so much for coming on. You guys, make sure you guys are following Big E if you're not already.
Love
Make
you
sure you
too.
go hit
Thank you.
him up for natal
Thank you
astrology
for
reading.
everybody in the chat watching. Thank you for the love and support. If you're new, please come to the channel and subscribe and watch the videos, ask me questions, and just have fun. Have fun learning about astrology on my channel. I really, and I want to say, I try to do something a little, it's not easy, but I try to do something a little bit different. My IG is a little different from my TikTok. X is kind of just X, but my IG and TikTok,
X is a
not
mess.
everything's a duplicate. Some things are because I'm a busy man, but the YouTube is different because some things I put on IG, they never get to my YouTube. So,
same here.
Try to give me a follow. You'll never be disappointed. I promise you that.
Never be disappointed. I'm never disappointed every time I see anything that you post pop up. I watch it. I put a like on it, and it don't cost nobody nothing to support other people. And I always tell people that it costs you nothing to support someone else. You supporting someone else does not put your light out. It's
and
not
make
going
sure
to
all
blow
you
your
guys
light out.
smash the like button for this podcast and follow Queen B. Okay.
That's right. Thank you, Big E. I'm glad you said that. See, because I never say that for myself. So make sure you
Subscribe
like
to
and
this channel
subscribe.
and tell them
That's
your other
right.
channel. You got Numeralytics and Taylor
Yes.
B TV or Taylor B Media. Subscribe to
Look,
everything.
you got me ready to put my stuff up here. I got numeralytics.biz, Taylor at Taylor BTV, at Numeralytics, and then all of my other social medias are at Numeralytics or at Taylor BTV. So you can find me anywhere. Let
Hey,
me
I
put
tell
that
people
in.
about you all the time, my friend.
Thank
Listen,
you.
real recognize real. And
Yes.
not only are you such a gifted astronumerologist, but you're just a real soulful purveyor of the culture, lover of hip hop, lover of the people, and just an authentic human and woman. And so you are so needed and so appreciated in this community. And I thank you for all that you do. I'm telling you, for the first time I came to your channel, I thank the brother, the king, Nick Westbrooks, told me about you. And I saw you break down the stuff for the Eagles and the Super Bowl with the Chiefs. And I was like, who in the heck is this? I was like, because for me, I'm gonna keep it real with you guys. I'm not impressed easily. Okay.
Right.
I
You're not.
am a tough critic. And because the
At
way my
Virgo.
brain gets down, I got a real, this thing right here, the medulla oblongata is no joke. So you got to really impress me. And when I saw you dispense and get down with your stuff, I was like, oh, she's no joke. I was like, okay. I gotta connect with her. I was like, she's the real deal. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I really do. I appreciate that. And, of course, this is just the beginning of our, this is just beginning for us in
Yes.
everything that we're going to do. This is a convergence of the Life Path Nines. So you guys, anytime you see us together, just know Life Path Nines, we are on the move to get the collective motivated, organized, inspired, and get you ready for action. And really let you know that we're all here for you for humanitarian universal level. So thank you, sir. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank
Tell
you
your
for having
beautiful
me.
wife
Thank
I
you for
said
everybody
hello, and I
watching.
will be in touch with both of you guys very, very soon. Love you guys. I want to say peace and love to everybody that tuned in. Thank you for watching. Make sure you share this video. Make sure you subscribe
Please
to me
share it.
and Big E.
Yep.
Yep.
Facebook it, tweet it out, do all of it.
That's
Share it.
right. All of it. Just share it. Just share it. It's great information and family, no time like the present. We got a lot of tumultuous times ahead of us. So we got to stick together.
But
Peace, love,
faith over fear, Queen, for everybody to watching, and we're gonna be
faith
okay.
over fear.
We're gonna be
Faith
all
over
right.
fear.
Yeah.
And everything will be all right. Faith over fear. Kings and queens up to the nation. Peace and love. Queens up in your